warm round of applause. And as I said a moment ago, we're back in business here at Shelsley.
We've been working hard at Shelsley Walsh to get hill climbing back on track in 2020. Other competitive meetings we have at Shelsley Walsh this year include the VSCC Day on August the 8th, with a few spaces remaining for entries, while we're full for the Reg Phillips Trophy meeting the day after. The regular August Shelsley on 15th and 16th of August is filling up day by day, but is sure to see the fastest run-up Shelsley this year and a special run-off we'll have at the end of the day. A brand new summer sizzler on the August Bank Holiday weekend is open for entries. It'll have a never-been-done-before tin top 10 on the Saturday and a regular run-off on the Sunday for the quickest drivers. The new Harvest Festival weekend has special places set aside for newcomers who've never driven Shelsley before, with a top 10 run-off for MAC members on Saturday the 12th, with a top 10 on the Sunday the 13th for those in the Sunrise Championship. The regular Autumn Speed finale is nearly full, so if you want a slot, get clicking online to get your entry in soon. All dates and all entries are available online at shelsleywalsh.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Shelsley Walsh here in Worcestershire. 2020 is absolutely underway, and welcome wherever you are watching around the world. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Shelsley. We are in action, and this is our live stream. You may be watching on Facebook, you may be watching on our YouTube channel. A very, very warm welcome, and I am glad to say it's a very warm afternoon that we've got here at Shelsley after a little bit of rain that tried to put us on the back foot over lunchtime, but fortunately it's managed to go away. The first car going up the hill, Alan Broom from Kidderminster and his Toyota MR2. He's already going through the S's. You can see the time ticking down on the bottom right-hand side of your screen, and that will stop very soon when he gets to the finish line. Car coming underneath the crossing commentary box at the moment is the red Mini Cooper S of Stephen Akers. He's going up to the S's at the moment at this Shelsley Walsh, the oldest motorsport venue in the world. We're 115 years old in just under a month's time, after we started here on the 12th of August 1905. Yesterday we had some action, and it was Sean Gould who was quickest in the Gould GR59. He did a time of 25.26 seconds to win yesterday. Trevor Willis was close on his tail. Trevor was really on it and really pushing on the last run, but got very close to the bank on the exit of Top S. Third was Alex Summers. So out of that top three yesterday, 4 British Hill Climb Championships between them, but it's Gould that is quickest in practice this morning, and with drier conditions and warmer conditions and better conditions today over yesterday, we expect to see some quicker times this afternoon. Similar to those that we had this morning, because we had a 23-second run from Sean Gould. That's the view over the valley, pretty well unchanged in those 115 years, but it's the view that is being brought into your laptop, your iPad, your iPhone, or wherever you may be watching all over the globe. My name's Toby Moody. Eddie Walder is unfortunately unable to be with us here at Shelsley, but he is at home about 40 miles away, and through the wonders of the internet and technology that is very clever indeed, he can commentate once more with us. Eddie.
Yes, here I am. Hope you're receiving me loud and clear.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All well and good. We had some good runs here this morning in practice. I'm sure you've been across the practice times, but really stunning runs from those single-seater drivers, and the brand new OMS that has been brought out for the first time here this weekend with Lynn and Steve Owen at the helm. So there's a lot to keep an eye on.
Yes, I've been watching this morning on the live stream.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. That's all good, then we can also see your comments as they come in throughout the afternoon. In the meantime, Dave Ledbetter is on his way up the hill with the BMW 318, the BMW Compact. In the meantime, we've got Chris Westwood with the Lotus Elise. We've got a few Lotuses here this weekend of both Elise and Evora, or did we have an Exige? Sorry, yes, and including this Exige, very quick indeed, the lime green one of Simon Curtin, and a very good chuckable, handleable car.
So Chris Westwood is just about to complete his first timed run of the afternoon. He's in Class A2, the road-going series production cars, up to 2 litres. And away from the line goes Ollie Wright.
Yeah, Ollie Wright, he built this car at home, just literally at the top of your picture there. He lives only the other side of the valley. Young driver, 1600, very lightweight this 106, as they all are, they all were. And he did an early 35 this morning, and he wants to crack into the 34s this afternoon. I remind you, this is his first of 2 class runs. He's 35 dead, absolutely on the nose. Well, it's a personal best, but he wants to go just 100th of a second quicker come this afternoon. Well, there's a personal best for you, Eddie.
Yeah, that's the first of the afternoon, I think. Very good show by Ollie Wright. Those little Peugeots are an ideal way of starting your career in hill climbing. Those and Renault Clios and Citroën AXs and similar very light French engineered cars. The latest generation from all of those firms have bloated themselves quite a lot in comparison with the 106.
Yes, everything's
sitting
just
on the line. I can see an Alpha.
Yes, that's coming in a moment, but in the meantime on the screen we've got Peter Ramsden. Peter Ramsden just coming through top S with the Mazda MX-5. Here is the aforementioned Alfa Romeo. Howard Davies, his son and grandchildren were watching on the live stream yesterday, and they were pictured at their screen watching their grandfather make their way up the hill.
A nice car, the one that Howard's running. It's the fairly large 3.2 V6 in the front of that Alpha. Nice piece of Italian iron. Leaving the line now is Mervyn Bergens in his Audi TT. It's a Quattro. It's 3.2 litres, so it's a fairly large one. That's a very, very tight V6 installation in the front of that car.
Yes, there's quite a lot of engine to get into not a lot of space, I suppose, isn't there?
Yeah, there's not much room for things like the washer bottle and so on. Very tight packaging around the headlights.
It's the old story, if you're going fast enough, it all streams over the top of the windscreen anyway, isn't that right?
Well, you'd be using Rain X anyway, wouldn't you? I think?
I would actually, yeah. Mervyn Bergens gets to the top, 41.77. Robin Gutteridge now with the MX-5, 1800 Turbo, and he's on his way. Beautiful view up Shelsley. We know that we're unable to have spectators here this weekend. We just wanted to take things step by step, make sure that we could have the runners and riders in the meeting safe and protected in these difficult times. We didn't want to run before we could walk, so what we thought we would do is put on the live stream for the spectators, and that's why you're able to listen to us from wherever you are around the world. We've already got a sight of somebody who's watching from Verona in Italy, and also somebody from Massachusetts in the USA on the East Coast, Ian Barker. So again, a big spread. We're spreading the word, the word, the gospel according to Shelsley, Eddie.
Well, we'll be watching out this afternoon to see who is the furthest from Shelsley Walsh, I think. Yesterday, was there somebody in North Island of New Zealand? And certainly there was somebody in Queensland, in Australia, I think.
Yes, and also...
And South Africa.
and South Africa, and from America, and also there was a friend of one of the drivers, and he was on an oil tanker in the South China Sea.
Ah.
The wonders of technology.
It's great, isn't it? Yeah. So Ian Cavill on the hill, and sitting on the line is Bob Penrose in his Porsche Cayman. Quite a few Porsches in hill climbing, of course, as you might expect.
Yes, they've got the traction off the line, haven't they? The Subaru Impreza's got the traction as well. Did a 38.12. Quick road car, but to get down to those early 30s in a road car here at Shelsley is another level of driving and another level of engineering that you've got to encompass. Bob Penrose did 74 miles an hour on S approach. He's already going through the top S. The finish line is way over there in the distance on the crest of the hill. When you're driving up that finishing straight, all you can see is tarmac and then sky.
Yes, and if you go a little bit too far, you end up in the kitty litter.
Absolutely. Tim King.
To be avoided, of course.
Absolutely. You don't want to go in the gravel after the finish line. Otherwise, you'll end up in Clifton-on-Team, the next village, which is over the top of the hill. Tim King with his BMW 135, 3-litre turbo. He's already going through the S's as Graham Godfrey now leaves the line with his Audi TT. They're getting quicker, We've got a Mitsubishi Evo 6 on the line. We've got a Griffith after that. We've got an S3 after that. We've got some Porsches. So as we progress through the running order, the times will get quicker. The Evo leaves the line, and that's an Evo 6. It's been bored out to 2.3 litres over the standard 2-litre turbo that it was when it came out of Japan. Of course, Mitsubishi dominating the World Rally Championship 96, 97, 98, 99 with Tommy Mäkinen, 4 consecutive World Rally titles. And the last of the Mitsubishis that he drove was an Evo 6 similar to this, as Steve Moore makes his way up to the top in a 31.93. That's a quick time for a road car. Stephen Mogg now with the TVR Griffith 5-litre V8. Lovely sounding thing.
Steve always very, very quick in this Class A3. He's seeded to run last, which means that, well, the secretary of the meeting and the rest of the officials think he's going to win it. Let's see if he can do.
Stephen Barnard leaves the line with the Nissan GT-R, 4-wheel drive, 3.6, twin-scroll turbo, huge power, even more torque. And
4-wheel steering, of course.
Yes, good point, Eddie.
Steering, vectoring, brake vectoring, under braking, so self-steering by braking. All the technology you could ever need, and for about, I don't know, about a third of the price of a big McLaren. Absolutely.
34.38. 34.38. John Goodreds, he was here yesterday, the Audi S3. He's making his way up to the S's. Here he comes past our camera, and then it hoves into view with the camera from Top S. Through the Top S and away. Alan Foster now with the Morgan Plus 8, another V8.
Very, very quick Peugeot coming to the line now.
Yes, Alan Foster with the Morgan makes his way up to the S's. There's a Peugeot on the line. It's about to leave the line. It does just that now, as the Peugeot is on its way. Had a good run this morning. Dual-driven car, so it's going up at the end of this first batch, and it will go up at the in the next batch with the other driver. But great to see Stephen Baxter having a good run. It was very quick when I saw it go up the hill this morning during practice. They've all had 3 practice runs because we went so quickly throughout practice. Normally they'd have 2, but we squeezed in another one, so they've had value for money. Baxter's on his way. Helen Evans with the Porsche 911 Carrera. There was a problem earlier, didn't make the start, but it's all sorted now. Very quick car. And a very light car at about 1,200 kilos. So this is one of the standout cars for me here today. Always spectacular.
Yes, it'll go quicker a little bit later on, I think. And away from the line, we've got Andy Fraser in the built for circuit racing Aston Martin Vantage, but used only by Tim Painter and Andy Fraser, former Gould GR37 drivers, going back about 20 years. And the whistles are being blown.
Okay, so Helen Evans with the Porsche is going very slowly up the finishing straight. I think she'll get to the finish with what I can see here in the commentary box, but she will be just crossing the line now. You can see it's a slow time, 63.93, but they have managed to get her over the line, but we just gave Andy Fraser a red flag in the Aston Martin so that he didn't meet her up the finishing straight.
Well, Andy is now stationary on the lead into bottom S, almost on the approach to the apex of the bend, and sitting on the line is one of the Greenham brothers in their Empire Evo. And one of the two brothers holds the outright record at the Crystal Palace Sprint at Sydenham in South London. I think it's Adam that holds that record.
Yes, the Greenans are here today. They weren't here yesterday, but they were watching the live stream as they were driving up the motorway. No, well, not quite driving, but the other one was driving and the other one was watching the live stream.
Yes.
They had a problem with the clutch this morning. It was slipping, but actually they managed to fix that after the first practice run, and all seems to be okay after their other practice runs that they have had. A dual-driven car, nice, good way to go hill climbing, share the cost, have a bit of fun, great competition between two drivers in the same car, of course, so there's always a bit of banter going on, as I know. Okay, red flags are in, and Greenan on the line. We'll see the Empire Evo. It's a space frame car that's clad in carbon, motorcycle engine in the back of it. It's the 1000cc motorcycle engine that he's got in the back of it. It's just rolling back a bit so that he can get some tyre temperature in again, which he will do. There's a tyre warming area there. You can see the tyre marks that have been left onto the tarmac, and fire the car into action. It'll be quite warm by now. There you go. 1, 2 bursts just to get some heat into those rears. Of course, it's very difficult to get some heat into the front tyres, and you chuck the car into the first corner at Kennel and you think, is it going to grip, is it going to grip? And then instantly you know the answer to that question, and if it doesn't grip, it's going to wash out and you have to get out of the throttle, and automatically you sort of know what kind of run you're going to have. But when it does grip, it's a great feeling. Greenan leaves the line, 2.13 seconds for the first 64 feet. And he's on his way out of Kennel, coming up towards crossing.
Here he is up at the crossing bend. Now he gets into the S approach. Anchors on. Apex's bottom S, avoids the drain cover. Coming out of top S, keeps over to the left. Nails it up the finishing straight, and it's a 28.9 for Adam Greenan.
100 miles an hour when he crossed the line. Claire Lightwood in the OMS 2000. I believe it's early days of hill climbing in a single-seater for Claire, so she's taking it steady, but it's great to see somebody new coming to hill climbing. Great start. She's never had a problem getting this thing off the line, but just finding your way up the hill and feeling what the steering's like. And when you jump into a single-seater for the very first time, the first thing that hits you is how direct the steering is. It starts tracking, tramlining when you're going up the finishing straight here at Shelsley, and you think something's wrong with the steering. But after 3 runs, you don't even notice the difference. Claire's on her way. Lindsay Summers leaves the line in the 1100cc DJ Firehawk. Beautiful looking car, sharing it with son Alex here today. And Lindsay, no slouch, having a good run as she goes up towards S approach at 103.
And Apex is bottom S. Another one who steers away from the almost infamous Shelsley drain cover. And through the finish line goes Lindsay Summers, 28.56.
109 miles an hour over the line. Mark Lawrence leaves the line, 2.5 seconds for the first 64 feet. Not quite as quick as Lindsay Summers. Needs to put some work into that, but now he's into his stride with the OMS. Going on S approach, 98.
Experienced single-seater driver from the past. Mark Lawrence, he was the hill climb leaders champion back in 1999, and then he gave it up for about 20 years, and he's back sharing this car with Harry Pick, and he finishes in a 29.13.
Alan Warburton on his way now in the Gould GR59 with a 1600cc engine behind it, sharing it with David as always here this weekend. S approach 110 miles an hour.
Is the very tall Alan Warburton, the now retired hill climb engine management guru. Over the finish line goes Alan in a 27.34.
111 miles an hour over the line. Bernard Kevill is our final runner in this batch. Is he? No, not quite. In the OMS, it's a 2.6 litre V8, sharing it with Simon Andrews once more. The pair of them always having great hill climb fun together. And Bernard are going on the S approach at 108 miles an hour.
So Bernard is now on the finish straight between those banks of sleepers, and he takes the finish line, stops those clocks in a 27.54.
Lynn Owen now on the line with a brand new OMS, the 2.7 litre V8. She leaves the line, she goes into kennel with the lime green car. She was a little bit worried about whether or not the colour scheme would work, but it's different. It's not just red, it's not just white, it's not just another black car, it's absolutely different. Great to see it in the sunshine here at Shelsley at 92 miles an hour.
Now the RPE V8 in the back of that car singing away as Lynn Owen goes through the finish in a 30.26. That should be the end of the batch.
It is. It's the end of a batch. Lynn Owen, 114 miles an hour when she crossed the finish line. The view there down through the S's. As one of the photographers crosses at bottom S, makes his way to top S. It's a good viewing point there. You can see the cars coming towards you, and then just over the slight crest of the hill that is the exit to the top S corner. And we look forward to that view.
In the old days, photographers used to take pictures from there. And you might recall in a recent MAC news, there was a well-known picture from the past of Sir Nick Williamson sideways at bottom S, and the photographer wishing that he wasn't there.
Well, of course, in the old days, that bank on the left-hand side would be full of people. They would be perched.
Yeah, that was Ian Wagstaff, who used to write as a young man. He wrote for Autosport and Motorsport News. And he's still out there writing books for Porter Press, who are associated with us at Shelsley and actually help us in producing MAC News.
Okay, well, that's our first batch here at Shelsley. We've got 8 batches in total this afternoon. Everybody will go up once. We'll then start again, so everybody will have 2 bites at the cherry as these cars come back down the hill. I did mention that we've got some people watching from all over the world, including Grant, who is watching from Tasmania. Timed the start
That's about
perfectly.
as far away as you can get.
It is, yes. He's just watched the MotoGP result, which I'm not going to find out. We've also got Ian Holmes watching from Minnesota, the Viking state. He's having breakfast there, and Ian Holmes driving around America with an MGB by the looks of things. So yeah, we've also got Michael Billingham watching. Good afternoon, Michael. Hope that you're well and you're good and you're looking after that beautiful AC of yours.
Yes, we know Michael very well, don't we?
We do. He's a friend of Shelsley Walsh, and he's always very welcome here. We've also got...
Lives down near Upton on 7.
We've also got P.H. Collins, watched us yesterday, and he's looking forward to this afternoon's coverage. He's watching not quite as far away as Tasmania, but Gloucestershire is where he is. So yeah, we've got a lot of views. So it's good to see that you're watching from wherever you are in the world.
It certainly increases my interest as a commentator to know that there are people out there watching and listening and taking an interest, and it's great fun to hear that they're out there and doing it, supporting this great hill and the sport of speed hill climbing. I saw a comment from Phil Serrell, Bryony Serrell's husband, this morning. He said that he still has to explain to people that hill climbing is not about working an old car up a muddy hill. And then he then cuts to your footage of Shaw and Gould on the hill yesterday, as if to prove a point.
Yes, it's not mud plugging.
And no, far from it. And you don't get much quicker than Shelsley. It is the fastest hill in the British Championship on average speed, and it has been forever. There have been challenges, but it was proven in the case of one of them that their hill is actually not quite as long as they thought it was. If you know about that. People have been working on the wrong figure for Barber Manor for about 30 years.
Well, we've got some of the competitors today being positioned in the spectator car park in order to give us space between the normal garage spacings in the paddock. So we've got plenty of space to utilise here for car parking at Shelsley Walsh. So that's why these cars are coming down the hill and then left through that gateway there on the exit of Kennel Bend and then in towards where they can park. Plenty of space for them there. And so that's why that's never been seen before, apart from on a...
No, that makes very good sense, though, doesn't it? And it's sort of a one-way system when they come around to the start and then return through. Now, that gate has been used once. Do you remember the Rally of the Tests that came through?
Roger Albert Clark rally.
They had a stage, yeah, the Roger Albert Clark, yeah, where they turned left there. But that was a slightly different kettle of fish, of course. A very different kettle of fish.
Yes, they had a stage on the way up and a stage on the way down, which was very interesting because top S on the way down is you need all your brakes. You need all of your brakes.
And the crash barrier, the barriers aren't really designed for cars approaching from the opposite direction either, are they?
Not at all. Right, we're underway with the second batch in just a moment. Yep. Peter Ramsden with his MX-5 is on the line. Closely followed up by the Aston Martin GT4 after that.
And that's another of the great hill climb starter cars these days. There are even championships just for Mazda MX-5s alone down in the southern half of the country. And I think we have a class for them in our Sunrise as well.
Ramsden on his way, going up towards S approach. Speed trap taken as he goes through here. 69 miles an hour for Peter Ramsden. We saw the Aston Martin Vantage a moment ago, and it's about to leave the line, the GT4, this time with Andy Fraser. He leaves the line now. Here he is, car number 747. And that's a new colour scheme. It used to be sort of grey and red and white last year, but now it's got some blue and grey in it. It's a wonderful looking thing.
It is, and doesn't it sound glorious as well? Into the S, well, through S approach and now into the S's proper themselves. Andy Fraser canes that beautiful V8 along the finish straight over on the right of the track, and he finishes in a time of 36.59. Andy Fraser.
Next up, Damien Bradley with the Subaru, the Legacy, highly modified four-wheel drive. This will be a good 64 feet, all four tyres spin. Leaves the line 2.08 seconds. This
Yeah, I
is
think
going to
you
be
could
a
say-
challenger for our tin top 10 that we've got at one of our other meetings this summer.
I look forward to that. That's quite an innovation to have something other than the regular runoffs. Has been done before, but only on the sprints, not on hill climbs. And Damien Bradley rockets up the finish straight, and his time up there is 29.58.
Yeah, that's a good time. 118 miles an hour over the finish line. That's a good time. Dave Moore in the Ford Escort Mark II. He's on his way. He's just about to go past Crossing, going up to S Approach. He was driving here yesterday. 70 miles an hour for the Mark II. Nice car, looks good, it's got the right Lombard RAC rally stickers down the side of it. Now this is a car that's going to be a handful. Nigel Elliott's with the TR7 V8, 4.6 litre turbo, huge handful.
Yes, if the bars were open on the hill and spectators were there, they'd be leaning forward over the fence because they know that Nigel Elliott is always good value for money and well worth a watch. Never know where he's going to end up.
Elliott's on his
to the
way.
growl of that V8. And he finishes in a time of 32.22, which rather puts Damien Bradley's time in perspective as something close to a proper single-seater time at Shelsley.
Oh yeah, that 29.58 from the Subaru is very, very impressive. 118 miles an hour over the line. That's the thing that really made my eyes stand out on Storks, because that's quite a lot of car to do 120 miles an hour up the steep hill of Shelsley. Paul Howells leaves the line in the ultra lightweight 911 RSR 3.8. He'll be looking for a 30, early 31 or so. Howells is leaning on it as he goes through Crossing, going up through S Approach, and he goes through there at 85.
Yeah, this car does not. Oh, and Jerry Neary nearly stalled it at the line. And the Paul Howells car just does not lean at all. It's very, very flat. The roll hoop works really, really well on that car.
31.46 for Paul Howells as Jerry Neary's on his way through S Approach at 73.
Jerry back in his Westfield. He also owns a Caterham with a Honda Blackbird engine in it that he's had for a few years as well. And this long-term Westfield goes over the finish line in a time of 36.63 for Jerry Neary.
John Pick with the AMS 2-litre turbo. It whooshes, it whistles, and it makes its way up Shelsley. Very steep. You can't really get that kind of feel for it through the picture, the camera, in case you've never been here before. But I know that a lot of you watching have been here before. So, yeah. A lot of work to do for cars that haven't quite got the puff. As Kath Woodman is sharing the BMW Compact, making her way through the Crossing bend and up towards the S Approach. She'll be going through the speed trap at about 60, and it is bang on 60. Anna May Furness is next up. We saw this being driven by Ollie a moment ago. He did a 35 flat. Anna May living not far from Shelsley, so a local girl, helped build the car with Ollie. Lightweight car, chuckable car, and she's making good progress, isn't she? Going through S Approach at a speed of 77.
Yeah, a little bark from the brakes and tyres as Anna May Furness anchors up going into bottom S. Now she's through the finish line in a time of 38.08 for Anna.
38.08. Stuart Rothwell with the 205. This was a committed run in practice. It'll be getting quicker for these guys now. Perfect conditions that we've got at Shelsley. The little 205, they always handled well, just like the 106 we saw a moment ago. S Approach 82.
That, by the way, put Anna May Furness fourth in class, so she's going to be very, very happy with that, I would say. With her boyfriend Ollie Wright leading the class from Simon Curtin and John Palmer. This is an unusual car.
Yeah, a Mallock with headlights.
Rear engine Mallock. And a Mallock with a rear engine as well. So
yeah,
Not too many of those. That's caught a few other commentators out in the past. As you probably know, they didn't quite understand what they were looking at. But that used to belong to Charlie and Justin Smith on the island of Guernsey. That particular car. Here's something unusual. Jim Collins in the curved screen 1303 Beetle, but with a Porsche flat 6 in the back.
David Bickley with the Radical SR1 with a Hayabusa Suzuki engine in the back of it. He makes his way out of kennel. He's already at crossing. Lovely, pretty little Le Mans car before the coupes took hold, with the Audis and the Porsches and the Peugeots and of course the Toyotas at the moment in LMP1. But the Radical, pretty little thing. Stuart Bickley with this Jedi. This was a committed run when I was up the hill this morning, and it's another committed run here today, visibly quicker. You can see it through the television screen, flat all the way.
Yeah, Stu Bickley, a regular at MAC Sprints at Kerbera, and has taken a couple of best times of the day in our sprints that we hold there a couple of times a year under normal circumstances. Andy Green
Stuart Bickley on his way. Andy Greenan now 1.99 for the first 64 feet. Our first sub 2 second 64 today. Building speed, it's getting quicker. S approach, this will be 100 and no, not quite, 92. But they can find some speed as the day progresses.
He's travelling, and he was well over to the right, going out of top S, and kicked some dirt up on the right-hand side there. Through the finish line, Andy Greenan, 27.83.
Yes, good run towards the top of the hill. Nigel Pitt leaves the line with the OMS, just under 1100cc, 2.19 for the first 64 feet. He was already through crossing and going through S approach at a speed of 1 mile an hour more than Greenan, 93.
Yes, Stuart Bickley took the lead in that 1100cc class just a few moments ago, and now Alex Summers is chasing it. There's only Nigel Pitt and Harry Pick.
Right, here's the third position man from yesterday on the hill. It's Alex Summers, 1.89 for the first 64 feet. S approach, 115. He's looking for a podium position again today.
And that is travelling, and his time is going to come up now, and it's 25.17. And that puts him well into the lead by over 2 seconds in that 1100cc racing car class.
25.17 for Alex Summers. Harry Pick now on the hill. They broke a chain in practice, but they managed to get it all sorted in no time at all. Here he goes through the trap, 103.
And here's Harry Pick now, out of top S. Absolutely dead centre of the track, up the finish straight. And Harry Pick does a 27.5 that puts him in second place in 1100cc racing cars.
Rob Anscombe leaves the line with the OMS Hornet. Made a bit of a mess of the start, unfortunately, but now he's got into his stride as he goes up towards the S approach speed trap at 89 miles an hour.
And we'll be seeing Dave Warburton any second now. Just so you're aware, Toby, it's Dave Warburton's 28th birthday today.
I know it is his 28th birthday. I saw the cake. I'll be going back to get a piece later.
Good man. Have one for me.
32.06 for Rob Anscombe. Here's David Warburton. Another challenger for the podium, is he? Leaves the line 2.15 seconds. 1600cc, all carbon fibre Gould GR59. He's already passed crossing in under 10 seconds and through the S approach at 117.
Well, his father did a 27.34 about 20 minutes ago. Let's see what the son can do. Dave Warburton living in Rugby these days, so he's moved away from the northwest. And he does a 26.03, so straight into the lead in Class J2, 1600cc racing cars.
26.03, 26.03, another Gould GR59 on the line, but it's a very different animal because it's turbocharged after the 1600cc normally aspirated that we saw a moment ago with David Warburton. It's Paul Hames who leaves the line. Very rapid driver, very rapid car, already out of kennel, already going up through Crossing Bend. Now it gets into its stride. It's really tramping on as it goes through the S's. Approach at 108.
Twice hill climb leaders champion Paul Hames, once in a Malak and once in the very well-known Dallara that's run over on Guernsey these days by Darren Warwick.
Paul Hames, 26.65. Simon Andrews with the OMS 2.8 V8, 2 seconds exactly for the first 64 feet, and he goes through S approach at 109.
And Simon Andrews out of top S. And he's going to go through the finish in a time of 27.13. Simon Andrews coming to the line, Steve Owen.
Steve Owen in the brand new OMS. This is the 28 chassis model number. He's built, well, nearly 200 chassis since they started some 20 and a bit years ago. It's a 2.7 litre V8. Same engine builder that builds Trevor Willis's V8 engine. It's getting quicker. It looked nimble on the exit of kennel. That's positive for the OMS concern. Through crossing already, going up towards S approach, and he does that at exactly 100.
Yeah, the gritty Yorkshire driver through the S now. Over the drain cover, very hard. Along the finish straight now goes Steve Owen. And he posts a time of 27.41.
Gentlemen, look at this. This is Sean Gould. Best time of day yesterday in a 25.26. Did practice this morning in a high 23. This is just over 400 kilograms, 700 horsepower. When it's on full song, it does a minimum speed through crossing of 122 miles an hour. He'll be touching 130 on S approach, 127.
And he trailed Sparks into the S approach. This is a proper hill climb weapon. Sean Gould. And it's a 23.69.
23.69, best time of day at the moment here at Shelsley Walsh as we get action in 2020 underway on a delayed basis after a difficult start to the year, but Trevor Willis is going to be gunning for that 23.69. He's going to be seeing what he can do. He's just about in touch at the 64 feet and at kennel and at crossing. Trevor will be quicker through the S's. That's where he's got to make up the time. 127 on S approach, same as Gould.
And yeah, he was definitely watching the clocks on the start line, which you can see from his position there. And Trevor Willis finishes 24.27.
24.27, 134 miles an hour when he crossed the finish line. Sean Gould did 150 miles an hour when he crossed the finish line. I told you that the Gould had a bit more poke, but through the S's, I can see that Gould did a 7.62 and Willis did a 7.54. So, as I said, the agility of the OMS has just got an advantage through the twizzly bits, but Shelsley's a power hill. What more power can Willis find, and what more speed can he find in the second run that he'll have later? Whew, take a breath as Richard Mason gets to the top of the hill with his Austin Healey, 35.42. Tom Thompson now with the Ginetta on his way in the sunshine in Worcestershire.
Yeah, Richard Mason's car was snaking about going into the S approach. And now here's Tom Thompson, as we say, in the Ginetta. Appears to have a taxi sign on the roof. I think that's an air scoop, isn't it? It does look for all the world like a yellow taxi sign, which I'm very familiar with.
Well, indeed. No time to stop here up Shelsley. That there is no doubt. Noor Ali is sharing his Mazda MX-5 here this afternoon, making his way up the hill and getting into the spirit of speed hill climbing, out of the shadows, into the shadows under the trees, back into the sunshine and through the S's.
Yeah, Noor Ali, a very senior National Health Service employee. Actually gets on the tools, as they would say, or as we would say. And Noor goes through the finish line in a 42.77.
42.77 for Noor Ali. And that brings the end of the batch up. And also we can have an opportunity to see where you're watching from and what your comments are. Thank you to Tigrex, loving the coverage. Are you planning to do it for the rest of the meetings this year? Not at the moment. There's quite a lot of effort involved, and the big screen in the paddock, that is quite a cost. But when we are able to have spectators, then that'll change things somewhat. We've also got a message from Andre Durkup. Great to show it live. Thank you, Andre. I visited friends close by back in 2018, and I walked up the hill climb, the Bergrennen. But greetings likewise, Andre, back to you in Germany from here at Shelsley Walsh. Servus, grüß dich, habe die Ehre. And we've also got another message coming in from Grant W. Yeah, as I said, he's been watching from Tasmania. Timed the start perfectly after MotoGP. So yeah, a lot of people watching from all over the world.
Now, Toby, I've been asked a question away from our message service by Graham Woodcock, who's a regular competitor. I know that there's some give in the rules for the start line procedure this season. Do you know if we're working to those this weekend?
Apparently we can't have a record set because there's a bit of give.
Yeah, that was, yeah. I think they roll in, the driver effectively positions himself, I believe, over the last 100 millimeters or so. So hence there's a little bit of variation. I know that working with the Hill Climb and Sprint subcommittee, that MS UK came up with this particular variance to the rules. And I understand that as things return to some sort of normality, we will drop those and go back to how we always used to do it.
Shelsley Walsh is open for the business of speed hill climbing in 2020 with 6 weekends, 14 days of action, scheduled between July the 25th and September the 20th. We're working on letting spectators in. We have to take things step by step at the moment with distancing arrangement for visitors. But if you want to race against the clock and beat your personal best time at the world's oldest motorsport venue, get yourself entered. Dates and entries are all online at shelsleywalsh.com.
Cars coming back down the hill, and Eddie's still receiving text messages.
Well, I don't understand that because the telephone is off.
I keep hearing pings. Pings somewhere.
Right, oh well. That must be the other iPad, I think.
2 iPads, Eddie.
So we will go to the setup and we will turn that off. Right, here we go.
Just to let you know, Eddie Walder is at home. He is still isolating, unable to venture out, but we came up with the idea to wire him up and connect him from Coventry area with Shelsley, with the stream, and then once the stream goes out, it's following, well, all over the world, as we have seen. And yes, indeed, we've been very lucky with the weather. Chris McPhail, fabulous hill climb weather, absolutely fabulous. We've been very lucky indeed. We've also got Jonathan Cole, Jonathan Cole, who says that he is enjoying the live stream. We're enjoying putting it on for you, Jonathan. Thank you very much for being here, watching from wherever you are. And we've also got Mike Rudge. Great to finally see some hill climb footage, just what the doctor ordered. Mike is watching on our YouTube channel. Do make sure that you subscribe to the channel and you press the little bell that will give you a notification through your YouTube app when we publish a video on our Shelsley YouTube channel, so that you won't miss anything. So do like and subscribe. And likewise, if you're watching on our Facebook channel, please do like and follow the page, and then you can keep in touch with all of the news up to date, absolutely as it happens, of what is going on here at Shelsley Walsh. Also, use the hashtag Shelsley Walsh through Twitter or Instagram, and then it enables other people to enjoy your stories or your pictures from years past, and gives them another view of the hill climb and maybe the history of hill climbing. I found a picture a couple of years ago that somebody had posted. I'd never seen it, pre-war picture, and it was owned by a gentleman in East Coast America, and we made contact and shared some other pictures of old hill climbing, and it was wonderful because sometimes we haven't seen those pictures here at Shelsley, and if we've got the opportunity to put them in the archive, then that's wonderful.
Is that the one his father had on the garage wall? I seem to remember that one.
No, it was a picture of Caracciolo when he came here in July 1930 with Neubauer alongside him. There's one picture that we're regularly seeing, but it was from a different angle, and I'd never seen it, and I just thought it was wonderful. And as an American collector of old, historic, just cool things and photographs in America, and we've established contact. Internet is a wonderful thing, isn't it?
It really is, yes. Yeah, it's allowing people to do things that they didn't do before. Not just watch YouTube videos, but keep in touch with people of a like mind worldwide.
Okay, next car is on the line. It is the Aston Martin Vantage, the GT4 car. Great big wing on the back of it. Painter Fraser car. As I said, it's got a new colour scheme for this 2020 season. Used to have the red stripe down the middle with the grey either side, and now it's got the blue stripe. So he lets the clutch in and he lights up those rear tires. He spins the rears all the way to this Voxvilla commentary position, leaves the line in 60, so the first 64 feet, he leaves it in 2.79 seconds.
The V8 growling away as he goes into the S approach. Anchors up for bottom S. Between the S's, avoids the drain cover. Arrow straight along the finish line, along to the finish line, and Tim Painter covers that in a 34.84.
Simon Durling with the Renault Alpine, famous of course for being so successful on the Monte Carlo Rally, and Jean-Pierre Nicolas being a famous driver, and also André behind the wheel, but it's Simon Durling who's driving up his own drive because he lives at the top of Shelsley. Simon, formerly a single-seater driver, winner of 3 British Hill Climb Championship rounds. He's no slouch at Shelsley in his day. He did some 23-second runs.
Well, Simon gets through the finish line in a time of 40.81 in the little Alpine. David Rose in his Elan on the hill now. Into the S's he goes with an approach speed of 77. Takes the exit. And through the finish line goes David Rose in a time which we will see is there now, and it's 37.46. David Rose. Meanwhile, Pat Cooper on the hill.
Yeah, Pat Cooper with the Austin Healey 3000. Sounds good. Lots of tyre rubber being left on the start line. That can only be good as we progress through the day, giving people those quicker start times. Pat Cooper on the way. Bill Drysdale with the Porsche now, Eddie.
Yeah, this very special Porsche 904 special, because it's special because Bill built it himself when he was still a resident of the Lothian area up in Scotland. Lives down in the Eastern Counties these days to be close to his family, which I think worked well in their favour when we all had to lock down a few months ago.
Okay, well, Drysdale making his way towards the top of the hill. Jonathan Evans now with the Lotus Europa. And very gold leaf colours as well for the Lotus Europa as it makes progress up towards crossing. Why is it called as such? Because there used to be a crossing and people used to cross the racetrack there and watch from the other side when there was an orchard on the right hand side as we look at it from this camera angle, from the left hand side as the cars make their way up the hill. In the meantime, John Fordy with this 911 1968 car, beautifully prepared, wonderful colour scheme, looks just right.
So this is Class M1, the target time class for classic saloons and sports cars. So effectively a handicap style of class. This is the sort of car that Jim Clark used to campaign in filler races back in the 1960s. A Lotus Cortina Mark 1.
Yes, he used to drive in the British Saloon Car Championship, as it was called in those days. Pictures of him three-wheeling it through Graham Hill Bend, bottom of the hill there at Brands Hatch. And as you say, he used to drive 5 or 6 races a day at Alton Park. Times were different.
Yes, different times. And here's something different. It's a Gilban GT, the sole Welsh brand of motor car. Long while since they were in production. Very pretty little car. This one based around BMC engine. So a BMC B series engine and gearbox as built at Morris Engines in Coventry. Just along the road from me. Nice little Austin BMC and Triumph Heartspin Special, those Gilbans. Later cars had Ford engines.
Gilban makes its way to the top of the hill. The time will stop soon. I can just see the car disappearing over the top of the hill. 51.2 seconds. Nick Stevens catching it up though with the Ginetta G4. He makes his way through the S's as we have the Austin Healey of Jonathan Martin leaving the line. Into second gear. Got a lot of road to play with because quite a narrow track, of course, with the Austin Healey. And as he makes his way towards crossing, a few spots of rain, unfortunately. Hopefully only spots. Let's see how we progress. Jonathan Martin, 58 miles an hour. Dave Parr leaves the line with the Ford Anglia. The Ford Anglia on its way. Used to be with the Ford Sierra Cosworth, the original whale tail. Don't know if he's still got it, but in this Anglia he's not got the turbo lag, has he? As he makes his way towards the S's at 71 miles an hour. Dave Morris now with the MGTC. He is on his way up towards Kennel Bend. Why Kennel Bend? Because the Hunt Kennels used to be just on the inside there where the crews are based. Up through crossing, past the original railings that have been there since before the war. And now he makes his way up towards the trees and the S's here at Shelsley. Bryony Serrell with this beautiful Elva Mark 7, 1600cc engine in the back of it. It's a little Lotus 30, isn't it? It's a wonderful looking thing. It just looks so handleable, chuckable, easy to drive, fun to drive moreover. And as she goes through the S's at 66, great little car.
Qualifies for any number of classic sports car series. Both HSCC and a number of others along the way. Could run at Goodwood, of course. And speaking of which, is David Giddon in his Lotus 23. Another car of the type driven by Jim Clark in period. And Brian Meddings now, yet another car that could have been driven by Jim Clark in period.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Some wonderful Lotuses that we've just got on the hill at the moment, and I think you can see there's a little bit of rain coming down just at the wrong time for these guys. What a shame for Brian Meddings, and rain on your visor just gives you the heebie-jeebies, doesn't it? Paul Danby gives us a message that it's raining heavily at Stockton-on-Tees, which is about a mile and a half, mile and 3/4 away. I think it's reached us already, Paul, as Sarah Thorne leaves the line with great gusto, 2.7 seconds for the first 64 feet. Oh, this is rain, so you are going to have to temper the throttle somewhat with what you're doing up Shelsley. Sarah going up the hill, 76 on S approach. Husband Malcolm about to leave the line with his Lotus in a few moments' time. Lots of room at the top S for Sarah. Malcolm bogs the start, gives it another go, now gets it underway. But this rain now falling reasonably heavily, unfortunately. Marshall's putting their jackets on. Marshall's taking cover wherever they can in their boxes. But the cars making their way up the hill. The Lotus is getting to the top.
And yes, a little bit of over-braking there from Malcolm Thorne at bottom S. It dug it, didn't it, there?
Now, I bet you've never commentated on one of these on a hill climb. It's an Aston Martin DB7 that leaves the line with Mark Chandler, a 3.2 litre supercharge. It's got walnut on the dash, it's got full leather, and I said I sincerely hope you'll have the aircon on.
Yes, back in the day, these were beloved of footballers in the top divisions, of course. Aston Martin DB7. Very large part of their customer base. And the Riley Brooklands, this is a proper throwback to the pre-war racing period. Post-vintage thoroughbred Riley Brooklands with the high cam engine. Very long tail. Working very hard. Technically only a 9 horsepower engine under the old RAC rating.
Well, the Brooklands makes its way towards the top of the hill as Jeremy Porsey leaves the line with his Porsche 911, 3.5 litre. He's on his way. It stopped raining. You can't believe it. As quick as it starts, it stops. But that's a good thing. That's a good thing, apart from just about, what, half a dozen runners who got their runs slightly interrupted with the wet weather. The umbrellas might well be coming down in a few moments' time down here at the bottom of the hill, but it'll all be okay. As Graham Bill lets the clutch in with his Ginetta G33, 2.3 litre turbocharged car, 2.96 for the first 64 feet. As Jeremy Porsey, the 911 in front of him, will be crossing the line soon, and he does in a 46.51. Beale on his way, and a very nice sounding Lotus Exige V6 is next up. Here it is, 3.5 litre supercharged. Quick car, Eddie.
An unusual colour for a Lotus, I would say. I don't think I recall ever seeing one in that French powder blue. It is very, very nice. It makes the air tunnels under the car stand out very, very clearly. Puts those intake slots into very, very strong relief. And of course it has the full set of underfloor tunnels at the back of the car as well.
Okay, well, the Lotus Exige gets to the top, 35.07, good time. Nick Bolton with the Morgan +8, 4.5 litre push rods under the bonnet there, goes through S approach at 72 miles an hour. Very tidy car indeed. Another baby blue colour scheme for the Morgan as it was for the Lotus. Ralph Colmar though, now get this, Ralph Colmar drove from John O'Groats to Land's End between sunrise and sunset only 2 days ago, last Friday, and it was all in aid of raising funds for a new electric wheelchair on behalf of Steve Tarrant, who got injured at the Goodwood Festival of Speed 20 years ago. And if you Google GoFund Steve Tarrant, it'll be some worthy funds going towards towards the electric wheelchair for Steve, who is a marshal, not only at Goodwood still, but still a marshal also at Gerston Down.
Yes, I know him reasonably well, Toby. He's got a very large motorhome with a chairlift in it.
And I believe it's the first hill climb for Ralph Colmar as well. So he gets to the top of the hill in 48.97 seconds. Rob Pack now on the hill with the TVR Tuscan. In fact, he gets to the top of the hill, 35.64. Robert Pallett with the G33 Ginetta going on S approach at 79 miles an hour. Gordon Pierce with the Cayman S, the 3.4 litre. 3 seconds for the first 64 feet. I'm sure the car could do a little bit better than that, could it? Or am I being a bit single-seater minded here? He does S approach at 76 miles an hour, as George Proudfoot is back on the hill here at Shelsley, as he was 24 hours ago with the early Morgan Series 1, just over 1300 cc.
Rob Pallett posted a 37.37.
37.37. That was the record before the war set by Raymond Mays in September 39.
Mm-hmm. How things have moved on.
Yes, that was the outright record in September 39. The record now, Martin Groves, 22.58 seconds. Sam Thompson making his way up towards the S's area at 62 miles an hour. That's the little Ginetta G20. Lawrence Tomlinson now got hold of the Ginetta concern. They've been doing some LMP3, LMP2 cars, delving into LMP1 with the World Endurance Championship. And yeah, not an easy task, but he certainly got the bits between his teeth as Tomlinson with Ginetta, and that's great to see the brand in the World Endurance Championship that I'm involved with at times. Rob Toome leaves the line. The Morgan Plus 8, 2.75 for the first 64 feet. Cleanly through crossing, cleanly through there, up towards the top left-hander and the S approach, and he goes through there at a very healthy 79.
We're getting towards the end of the penultimate batch of the first runners. With Emma Ali about to take to the hill. Rob Toone through the finish line in a 35.59.
Emma Ali leaves the line, got it bogged a little. You always have to give it a little bit more revs when you get to the start line of a hill climb. You may have done a tyre burnout and some warm-ups, but you just need to give it a bit more, and you need to dump that clutch and really just get the wheels to just break traction. But Emma's on her way, and she goes through S approach at 54 miles an hour with the 1600cc MX-5. Alan Voice with the Triumph GT6 has a little chirp of wheel spin as he changes into second gear. 2.9 seconds for his first 64 feet. Going a little bit quicker at Kennel, building speed to crossing as Emma Ali makes her way to the top of the hill and she crosses the finish line. 49.09.
Yeah, the Triumph GT6 having a reputation locally to me, where it was manufactured, as being a junior E-Type, of course. If you couldn't afford an E-Type, you bought yourself a GT6.
Alan Voice makes his way towards that finish line. The banner over the top of the tarmac. Finish, he breaks the beam, 48.59, 58 miles an hour when he crossed the finish line. 58 miles an hour when he crossed the finish line. So we've had some quick runs here at Shelsley so far today. And the track rubbering up little by little. We've seen some rapid hill climbing in the shape of Sean Gould with a 23.69 here today. Trevor Willis, 24.27. Alex Summers with the under 1100cc DJ Firehawk. He's flat all the way to bottom S, 25.17. David Warburton, 26.03. Paul Hames, 26.65. Simon Andrews, 27.13. Alan Warburton, 27.34. Steve Owen in the new car for him to bet himself in with, 27.41. Harry Pick, Kevil, Bickley, Greenan, Lindsay Summers, Adam Greenan, and Lawrence rounding out the top 15 that we've got here at Shelsley today. Shelsley's all about emotion and getting close up to the action, and likewise you can still be close to the action, if I can call it that, by watching our YouTube and Facebook streams this afternoon, no matter how far or close you are. Denise Ball's watching from Broadwas, which as the crow flies is, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 miles away. Still in lockdown, but husband Dave working in race control here today. Also, we've got Ben Bonfield. Fantastic job, guys. Really missing a visit to Shelsley this year. Well, the entries are still open, Ben, if you'd like to enter. Such a fantastic hill.
Yeah, no.
Thank you very much.
And I think they've got a couple of cars in the family as well, the Bonfields. They certainly did have a very, very quick modified Mini. Regulars down at Wiscombe Park, and Gersten Down, of course, members of the Bonfield family. And Andy Smith on Facebook pointing out to us that Alex Summers is 25.17. He's pointing out that that space frame Firehawk is now 13 years old, would you believe?
Yes, yes, it would be. It would be.
As of course is, I mean, Scott Moran's all-conquering Gould GR61X made its debut at the beginning of 2005, so that car's 15 years old.
Well, let's have a look of what it's like to drive one of the quick cars up Shelsley and the kind of speed needed to do a 22-second run. Let's have a quick ride on board with Josh Goodyear. This is a 480 horsepower GWR Raptor. Josh Goodyear is going to leave the line now. Second, third gears, touching 100 miles an hour. Squeeze lift. Fourth. Through crossing about 120 miles an hour, braking hard for S approach. He hit 147 there on the data, already at top S, smooth on the wheel, and now he puts on another 100 miles an hour between top S and the finish line. And that is a 22.8 second run up Shelsley. That's the third fastest run ever up Shelsley Walsh, after Martin Groves's 22.58 and Scott Moran's 22.85 off the top of my head. Apologies, Scott, if I've got it wrong by a couple of hundredths, but only 3 drivers to break into the 22s here at Shelsley. Martin Groves, Scott Moran and Josh Goodyear that you just rode on board with.
And I bet you Josh Goodyear's his heart rate didn't increase one bit. He's absolutely stone cold, isn't he?
Well, yes and no. I mean, there was the video that went up on the Shelsley Facebook page a couple of months ago, which is the full video of that run from when he had the camera turned on in the paddock all the way to the top of the hill with the run, the celebration at the top of the hill, and then coming back down and seeing his crew again. But he jumped out of the car when he got to the top of the hill very quickly and was, yes, still buzzing, still shaking. It's quite something, but yeah, he's very relaxed, but inside, yeah, your eyes are still as big as dinner plates when you're going up at that kind of speed.
Yes, that's where you get the legendary Dune shakes if you've competed and taken the record up there, as Joss has done in the past. Peter Needham, apparently, his knees were still knocking when he got back to Southwest Services about 4 hours after his last run of the day.
Oh yes,
Got
you're out
out,
of breath,
he
all
thought
right.
he was fine.
Yeah.
Jumped out at Southwest Services onto the car park, ready to go, in and use the facilities, and his knees suddenly started knocking.
We're underway again. Richard Derrick is on his way with a Mini 1275 GT, so he's all good. Sunshine back at Shelsley. That's the kind of thing that we like to see. Message on Facebook feed from Stephen Buncombe. Fantastic job. I've not been since 2011. Looking good under the conditions. Well, Stephen, you are seeing what kind of show that we're putting on without spectators, and when we've got our doors open in the future for spectators, then please do make another visit back here to Shelsley, Stephen. We look forward to seeing you here. Bernard Wellen is watching from Dublin. Great coverage, superb range of cars, well done. Thank you very much indeed. Okay, next car leaving the line is Thomas Robinson. 2.71 for the first 64 feet. He makes his way into kennel. All good for him. It's dried out after that rain. You can't believe how quickly it's dried out. Quite something. I'm impressed.
That is the Team Valley microclimate, though, isn't it? It's a very strange thing.
It is indeed. It was raining on the other side of the valley a couple of hours ago, but not with us, and we all looked at it and pulled a face, and it went away. Robinson gets towards the top of the hill, 38.74. David Rogers with the Jaguar X-Type. Did you know that the man who pioneered the project of the X-Type on the Ford chassis was Nick Fry? He went on to be the team principal for Braun GP when they won the championship with Jensen in 2009. He was working for Ford at the time and said, why don't we make an X-Type with what we've got over here? And then it all tied up. 46.76 seconds for the X-Type. James Scarrett with the XKO1 Jaguar, 4-litre supercharge, and Phil James with his Cayman S. Sounds good, looks good, goes good. Playing with the throttle on the exit of Kennel. James on his way.
Very, very practical motor car, the Porsche Cayman. Luggage in the front, luggage in the back, engine in the middle. Gilbern Invader. This is the car that Gilbern were building when they went broke back in the late 70s. Another firm I was associated with, of course.
Hope these facts are not related, Eddie.
They could well be. You know my reputation of I join a firm and everybody runs away, screaming.
No, not at all, not at all. The Gilbern does S approach at 49 miles an hour. This is quick off the line yesterday. This is the Golf R, 2.09 for the first 64 feet. But now it won't be so quick as the hill of Shelsley starts to attack the weight of the Golf. Power, yes, but you need lightweight to be your friend all of the time. 74 on S approach for Gordon Hick. Good fun in there.
Over 300 horsepower, of course. Some 300 PS, which is metric horsepower. And that's Gordon's shopping car. He always runs an interesting shopping car. It'd be Seat Cupras, all sorts of unusual stuff over the years.
They're quick, they are. Mind you, does he still run a shopping car if he gets his shopping delivered?
I've not seen him since the lockdown, so I suspect, knowing Gordon, he probably has been getting his all delivered. I'm sure he will have.
Oh, the Chevette
He's
makes
the one
its
with
way.
that range of. He's the guy with the range of colourful hats that you've probably encountered over the years.
We've had people
Keeps
with
the sun
colourful
off his
cars here, haven't
bald
we?
head.
Carol Nichols
Yeah,
on her
yeah.
way with the Nike single-seater. 62 miles an hour on S approach. She brings to the end of this batch. So that's all good. That's all sorted. For Carol, she makes her way through top S and away towards the top of the hill. And she'll be aiming to do a 39. No, it's going to be a 41, just about. Yes, 41.99. 41.99 as that finishes another batch here at Shelsley. It's our first weekend of 6 competitive weekends that we've got here at Shelsley Walsh throughout this 2020 season. So if you're a competitor, we still have some spaces available in 3 weekends' time for our August normal championship challenge meeting on the 15th and 16th of August. So if you're a competitor, let's see what we've got in store for you this summer.
We've been working hard at Shelsley Walsh to get hill climbing back on track in 2020. Other competitive meetings we have at Shelsley Walsh this year include the VSCC Day on August the 8th, with a few spaces remaining for entries, while we're full for the Reg Phillips Trophy meeting the day after. The regular August Shelsley on 15th and 16th of August is filling up day by day, but is sure to see the fastest run-up Shelsley this year in a special run-off we'll have at the end of the day. A brand new summer sizzler on the August bank holiday weekend is open for entries. It'll have a never-been-done-before tin top 10 on the Saturday and a regular run-off on the Sunday for the quickest drivers. The new Harvest Festival weekend has special places set aside for newcomers who've never driven Shelsley before, with a top 10 run-off for MAC members on Saturday the 12th, with a top 10 on the Sunday the 13th for those in the Sunrise Championship. The regular autumn speed finale is nearly full, so if you want a slot, get clicking online to get your entry in soon. All dates and all entries are available online at shelsleywalsh.com.
Richard Preece is watching, enjoying the coverage. Excellent camera work and commentary. You're too kind, Richard. Thank you so very much on behalf of myself and Eddie from the commentary box. He's still in lockdown, but looking forward to entering next year in the Pirelli Ferrari class. We have also got Martin Vickery watching from New Jersey in America, missing my racing friends and competing at Wiscombe. Well done with the live stream. That's Martin Vickery from East Coast. And we've also got somebody from Central Europe, from Germany, Ruth Scheithauer. Greetings from Germany. With our own race cancelled this year, it's great to be able to watch some hill climbing, some Bergrennen on a lovely hill with a great commentary. Thank you very much, Ruth. We look forward to seeing you here one day. You're always very welcome to make your way to a leafy Team Valley here in Worcestershire in the UK. It's the end of the batch for the time being, so the cars are returning back down the hill. In fact, they have returned back down the hill here at Shelsley. No spectators, unfortunately, allowed here this weekend, but that's why we're bringing you this stream, whether or not you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook. Make sure that you make some comments. We've got them coming into the commentary box so we can keep across them. Steve Tarrant, I'm glad that you heard the mentions. Loving the live feed from the venue that he's yet to get to, but you're always welcome when you're able to. When you are able to.
My greetings to Steve. It's been a number of years since I've seen him. Last time was down at Kirsten Down.
Yeah, it's a while since I drove at Gersten. 2011, I think I drove. 2012, 13,
Yeah,
maybe.
that would be it. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Knocked on the door of the 600 record. It eluded me by about 0.14 seconds. Not 1.4 seconds, 0.14 seconds. But I had some great fun. Great fun. First time I drove a single-seater. No. First time I drove a single-seater was here at Shelsley, but the first time I drove the orange single-seater was at Gersten.
So Alan Broome in the Toyota MR2. Future classic, I'm told. Those very late MR2s, the one that was only available with a hard top or hood, not available as a hatchback or anything, liftback or anything like that. I think Alan Broome is a nephew of Reg Broome, who competed at Gersten Down for so many years.
So these are our second class runs that we're getting underway. Alan Broome taking his second run, 42.99. Stephen Eckers on his way up towards the top of the hill. He crosses the line about now, 45.45 seconds. Ian Hunt with the Mini Cooper S, the gearbox whining away underneath that engine, that bonnet there. 64 miles an hour on S approach for the Mini Cooper. The MGF of Steve Jackman now leaves the line, 2.79 seconds. It's quicker than it sort of looks, if you know what I mean, this car. It's just got something about it. It tramps along.
Yeah, good cars, the little MGF and MGTF. They're quite well put together. And of course, Shanghai Automotive were going to continue to produce those cars, but for some reason it just never happened. They were going to build them in a little plant at Longbridge. Of course, all of the Longbridge site has been cleared since, and Cofton Hackett, of course, has since then been cleared. And if you know your Austin, you'll know that the Cofton Hackett site was the bigger of the two and was actually a World War II shadow factory originally.
Paul Howard getting to the top of the hill, and he crosses the line now. Does Paul, 44.24. David Ledbetter sharing this BMW 318 compact. They never really took off, those compact. Everyone thought that they would be the new Golf GTI, but
yeah.
Is that just me thinking that they didn't take off, or I don't notice them?
It's not really BMW's speciality, is it? Cars in that class, they've just never quite done it. The modern 2 Series, that front wheel drive thing, is a bit of a sort of a nothing car. Eventually they'll get there. One of the days they'll crack it, I'm sure.
But maybe they need to stick with, as you're sort of alluding to, Eddie, with what they're good at, you know, just making a solid 3 Series, 4 Series, 5 Series, M cars. But, well, there's cleverer people than us that work out the marketing strategy. Clive Westwood with the Lotus Elise. A couple of Lotuses now coming up the hill.
The 1 Series was a great little car, the notchback car.
Simon Curtin with the Lotus Exige on his way. The lime green car chasing up the Westwood Lotus Elise that does a 38.61. Curtin on his way. Big Instagram man is Simon Curtin. Always taking pictures of his car here at Shelsley, at Shelsley Walsh on Instagram. Here's Oliver Wright. Now he's got a 35 seconds to beat. That's his personal best that he did on his first class run. He's getting quicker and quicker and quicker. He's got to be smooth. Uses all the road on the exit of Kennel through crossing. Uses a bit of the road, not all of it. Goes through the top left-hander at 82 miles an hour. Into the S's he goes. And out of the S's he comes as John Palmer makes his way up behind him. 35 is the time that we've got to keep an eye on for Ollie Wright, Eddie.
Yeah, that was his personal best set earlier this afternoon.
Oh!
Just does it, marvellous.
Brilliant. He did a 35 on his first class run. He does a 34.99. Give that man a beer when he gets home tonight. Well done, Ollie Wright.
That's great, isn't it? Oh, that's your target in hill climbing, isn't it? Knock 100th off your time every time you take a competitive run. You're bound to do well then, aren't you? So, absolute congratulations to Ollie Wright.
Super stuff.
And
just brilliant.
Simon Curtin, a 35.82. So it did close up very, very slightly at the end. But Ollie doing it in some style, you have to say. That was a very, very good run indeed.
Yeah. Super stuff. Now, Howard Davies with the Alfa Romeo GT. The V6 growls its way, purrs its way off the start line here at Shelsley Walsh. 2.9 seconds for those first 64 feet. Anything near
nice
2
car,
is
this
very
Alfa.
good.
That would do me fine as a, should we say, an appreciating modern classic. And so are these Audi TTs, some of the early cars. They had a reputation of being a sort of a bit of a hairdresser's car, but that was a bit unkind, really. They're a lot better car than that.
Yeah, they got more sporty as they went through into the back end of the second decade of them. I got lent one in about 2001. And it was an Audi UK car, and it was quite something. But now, of course, they're doing RS versions, and we had the black one here yesterday, which was mightily fast.
Oh, Rick Leddy's car, that's a beaut, yeah. I was fortunate enough to get my hands on a TT about a month after they were launched. Very fortunate. We actually borrowed one at LTI to have a look at some of the features of the car, and took various bits and pieces off it, put it back together again. Bit naughty because it wasn't our car. We were prone
the TVR Griffith leaves the line. TVR, the 5 litre, into kennel, out of kennel, into the sunshine, and soon briefly into the shadow at Crossing Bend. He goes through there, and he's coming up towards that top left-hander. Got some quick saloon cars
Peter
here,
Ash. Yeah, oh yes, yeah. Yeah, well, I look forward to this Tin Top 10. That's quite innovative of us to come along with that as an idea. I do look forward to that. Hope, we never know, we might actually be able to be there for that one.
Maybe you could buy a beer for the man who thought up the idea.
We possibly could. Who was that? Was that you?
It was me.
Oh, well, there you go. Right. Bugger, I've talked my way into that one, haven't I? Oh, well, never mind.
I think the Tin Top 10 rolls off the tongue quite well.
It does, doesn't it? I like it. Yeah. Oh, this is the Impreza of Ian Cabell. Make all the right noises, don't they, these Imprezas?
Absolutely. I was involved in the World Rally Championship when Colin was in his pomp, when he won the championship in '95, and then I did a bit more reporting in the years after that and into the 2000s with Bernsey and Solberg, and yeah, iconic sound.
Did you ever get your hands on an R22?
A 22B.
22B, yeah.
No, I've got a good friend of mine who's got one, but I've never driven one, and I don't like driving other people's cars too much because it's just easier if you don't. But I do want to have a drive in that. I think it's just lovely. They only made 300 and something of them, I think. 400 and something. I can't remember now. Not very many at all. But lovely car, because they were a bigger capacity, the 22Bs. They were a 2.1 or a 2.3, I can't remember, not a 2 litre. But yeah, nice bits of kit. They just looked right.
Stephen Moore now, the Mitsubishi Evo. This is a very, very quick piece of kit. He holds a number of class records at BARC Hills, of course. Steve Moore.
Talking about World Rally cars, we've got a Mitsubishi Evo 6 on the start line. It's about to leave the line. It's Stephen Moore, and he leaves it now, and he does the first 64 feet in 1.95 seconds. This is going to be a quick run. Already out of kennel, already coming up towards Crossing Bend. This means business.
7.11 to the kennel. That's up in single-seater territory, isn't it, really?
It is.
Only 89 at the S's, sadly. But he's back down. He's beating that throttle pedal down as he goes along the finish straight. And he can't quite get into the 30s. But he's a 31.23, so he's there or thereabouts.
You've got to lean on it for a 31.23 in that car. Well, fair play. That's a very, very good time And remember, we've got that Subaru Legacy that is very rapid indeed. That's yet to come up for its second class run, as Stephen Mogg makes his way out of top S, does 87 on S approach. 31.23 was the Evo 6, 34.43 for Stephen Mogg. The Nissan GT-R, the 3.6 litre twin turbo and all the clever steering and braking and whiz-bang wallop as your father, is all on board with this Nissan GT-R. Very, very rapid road car, but Shelsley is going to be the ultimate test.
Yeah, torque vectoring by braking. They do, so they effectively steer their way into a corner for you. Fabulous things.
They are clever, clever things. When I was working in Nissan Motorsports, we were party to all of the Nissan Skylines that came into the country because we had to put fog lights on them and some other little bits and bobs. And I took one round the block when I was about 21. Goodness me. Goodness me. Yeah. What a device. Alan Foster with the Morgan +8. He leaves the line as the Audi S3 gets to the top of the hill in 37.77 seconds. The Morgan +8 making good progress through crossing. Good run on S approach. And as I said, a big variety of road-going cars and modified production cars that we've got here at the moment. So the modified production car racing section, you've still got to have a production car, but you're allowed to put slick tyres on it, such as Stephen Baxter has got with a Peugeot 205 1900cc car. And he was Harry Flatters this morning. This is going to be a good run. Good time on the cards.
Yeah, he's holding it wide open as he goes into the braking area at S approach. Car skips around a little bit between the S's. Nails it going up the finish straight though, and Stephen Baxter, he's into the, he's 34.16 for Stephen. Helen Evans on the hill now in the 911.
Yeah, had a problem on her first run up the finishing straight, but hopefully everything's all sorted now. And that car very quick up here, and I'm sure it knows its way, but Helen getting it all sorted through the S's. And likewise Andy Fraser makes his start as he does 2.78 seconds for the first 64 feet with the Aston Martin Vantage. The GT4 4.7 litre V8 burbling away as it comes into the shadows at crossing and then back out into the sunshine on the way up towards the top left-hander and towards the S's at 74 miles an hour. We're getting quicker, Eddie.
Yeah, we certainly are. Yeah, I'm actually moving off around the house with the iPad. Wonderful, isn't it? The technology. You know, to go to the kitchen and get myself something to drink.
Okay. Andy Greedon on his way. Sorry, Adam Greedon on his way. 104 on S approach for the 998cc motorcycle engined Empire Evo. Space frame chassis clad in carbon. Big under tray, downforce and wings that he's got on the car. Time when he crosses the finish, 28.53. 28.53 for Adam Greenan. Whoa, Claire, don't cross the line. Oh, you could have had another go at it, but she gets it all sorted now.
Yeah, she could have.
It's only a run if your rear wheels cross the start line. But she's bedding herself in well with this OMS, 1100cc engine in it. She's bedding herself in well as she finds her way towards the S's. We've got another single-seater just coming to the line, which you'll see on your feed in a moment. It's in the shape of Lindsay Summers. So, mum to Alex is about to leave the line, as she does now with a DJ Farhawk, the 1 litre engine. Quick through Kennel, already exiting the Kennel bend up towards crossing. Coming through crossing, nice line, no problems at all. Bank slap middle of the road through the top left-hander at a speed of 106.
As Andy Smith told us earlier, this is now 13 years old, and of course it started out with a very different engine setup. and at one point had a turbocharged engine in it. And over the finish line goes Lindsay Summers with the 28.1. Mark Lawrence on the start line and leaves the start line in the OMS 3000.
Yeah, another 1 litre car, 2.29 for the first 64 feet. Having a go really on it after that chain broke earlier today, but he got it all fixed. Pushing at 102 miles an hour on S approach into the S's, takes a huggy line on the exit of the bottom S. No problem through the top S, bang slap middle of the road and on his way up towards the finish. Time about to be done by Mark Lawrence. 28.4 raters. Alan Warburton is about to leave the line and he does so with the Gould GR59. The 1600 shakes the box here at Vauxvilla as he changes gear.
Not many people have driven as many different racing cars as Alan Warburton. Used to share, of course, a mallet with David Grace way back before David Grace started to win championships.
David Grace going on to win 5 British Hill Climb championships.
Yes.
Warby, 27.41, 105 miles an hour when he crossed the finish line. Bernard Kevill, he leaves the line with the OMS 28, 2.6 litre V8 motorcycle. Derived V8s mounted in the back of the car. Through crossing, getting quicker, using all the road through the top left-hander, and he goes through there at 112.
Yeah, this is one of Terry Davis's Suzuki-based V8s. I think he only actually built one of those at all. And Bernie Kevill goes through the finish in a time of 27.46. Got to be pleased with that. And on the start line now is Lynn Owen in the factory OMS, the works car.
Yes, brand new car, first time out the competitive hill climb here this weekend. It's got the 2.7 litre V8, the V8 in the back of it, Radical Performance engines, derived V8. She gets all sorted through kennel. She makes her way up to crossing, gives herself space on the inside. Now pushes that throttle pedal through the top left-hander at 95 miles an hour.
Yeah, Lynn Owen into bottom S. Between the S's, just avoids the drain cover. Pins the throttle along the finish straight. And Lynn Owen is going to finish in a time of 29.85.
122 miles an hour when she crossed the finish line. That's just 4 miles an hour faster than Bernard Kevill's similar OMS chassis. Warby did a 105 over the line, but he's got a 1600 as opposed to the much bigger capacity of Kevill and Owen, the last 2 cars that we have just seen here at Shelsley. Well, if you're new to speed hill climbing, this is what it's all about. You can get close up to the action at hill climbing. In normal circumstances, all the paddocks are open. You can have a good close look up to the cars and speak to the drivers and get right up there. As you can see, we've got a limited entry here today, but we are doing what we can to get spectators in here at Shelsley Walsh. It's a big area that we've got here, but one has to remember that we've got quite a few spectator pinch points when you're walking up the side of the hill, up the car park area, and then past crossing, particularly when it starts to go up the steps by the top left-hander. You can just see top right of your screen. There's quite a few narrow areas, and we've got to work out how we can get people in safely so that everybody's covered and everybody's safe. So please bear with us. We are working hard at it here at Shelsley Walsh to see what we can do in meetings coming up in the future. The next meeting of which will be the VSCC meeting on the 8th of August, and then we've got the Reg Phillips Trophy meeting on the 9th of August, and then our regular big August Shelsley on the 15th and 16th. We're going to have a top 10 for the fastest drivers. Who will be King of Shelsley in 2020? Who will be the man who's got their time in the books as the fastest man up Shelsley in 2020? Last year it was Will Hall, and the year before it was David Oren with a stunning time that he did at June in 2018. So the race is on. The race is on. Mark Bateman, pleased to see this coverage. We're all sat in the living room with ice creams, pretending that we're at Bottom S. Yes, yes. And also, the guy I share a car with, Zach Zammit, got married yesterday to Becky. So Matthew saying his congratulations through the Shelsley coverage today. Congratulations, Zach and Becky, for you over there in Malta. Also, a message through Facebook from Anthony Fessy. Great to watch. Great commentary. You are very kind, Anthony. Thank you so much. Well done for Rich for setting up the technicalities, and for whoever else was involved, mainly Al Rayner. Can't wait to get back to the hill as well. Other messages coming in. Great feeds. Congratulations to the backroom team for getting it all sorted. James Lamb, there's a name from Midland Rescue days of the past. Yeah. And also another message coming in. Let's have a look at it, shall we, on the screen here, from Jonathan Cockram. Thank you for the commentary. He's been living in Belgium for some years now, so it's a way of you seeing some hill climbing from the flatlands. Okay. There's a view in the paddock. There's the Mark II Ford Escort in the forefront of your shot, and also that very rapid Subaru Legacy that we saw do 118 miles an hour over the line. That's Damien Bradley, top right. Time Attack car. Yes. Oh, he's here. He's still here.
Yeah.
He's around.
Good man.
I look out of Oxfiller and I can see Lindsay Summers. I can see, I think, Trevor Willis. Yes. I can see the Fraser Painter car. I can also see the Greenan clan. Tom Poole is here this weekend as well, helping out the Greenans. Yes. And it's quite
Is he not got a car at the moment?
It's being created.
Ah, okay, good. Oh, an Empire, I'm guessing then.
Absolutely. And with him behind the wheel, we've got absolutely no chance, because he's quicker than anything.
That might be some good challenge, Robert Kenrick, of course. Going to be difficult, but somebody will eventually.
Well, my parents used to come here, and they would never believe that 30 seconds would be broken.
And here we are. And we haven't seen. We've not seen anybody in the 22s since 2014.
14.
Yeah. Which was Joss, of course.
Correct. Yeah. But the quick times that we've had today, well, the quickest time at the moment with Sean Gould getting into the 23s that we saw earlier. 23.69, in fact. So with a bit more rubber on the floor, Sean up to full championship speed, if I can call it that, when you're driving the car week in, week out, you will be certainly knocking on the door and seeing a 22-second run from that Gould. Now here is Damien Bradley with this Subaru Legacy, a 2.35-litre turbocharged car. Very rapid indeed. The start is quite something to see. It's got quite big wheels for a Legacy, and of course they all light up at the same time when he lets the clutch in, and this was quick up the finishing straight.
It looks like a caricature.
Yes, it does.
Like one of those car caricatures, doesn't it?
Jim Bamber, where are you? Here we go. The Subaru leaves the line, and he leaves it In 2.04 seconds, he's already giving a quick dab of brakes into Kennel. He arrived there so quickly. Kennel in 6.7 seconds. He's already going through crossing. 11.6 seconds to there. S approach, the speed coming up now, 98.
And under 20 seconds as well, 19.05 at the S's. And he's pinned it along the finish straight. And he's there. And it's 29.44, Damien Bradley.
118 miles an hour.
territory.
Yeah, 118 miles an hour over the line again. It's quick. Dave Moore
What
now
a
with the Mark
weapon.
II.
What a weapon.
Oh, it's immense. It is just immense. It's a crowd stopper, isn't it? It's spectacular stuff, and that's what we like. Dave Moore with the Mark II makes his way through the S's as Nigel Elliott growls his way up with the Turbo Technics breathed on V8 with the TR7.
Yeah, yes, speaking of absolute weapons, yeah, this is another one of those. Oil industry scientist, of course, Nigel Elliott, from many years ago. And their wantage, where all of that sort of stuff takes place.
Nigel Elliott getting towards the top of the hill as Andrew Norris leaves the line. 2.03 for the 911 Carrera. That's quick, isn't it? Comes out of Kennel, gets himself together, gathers himself together for crossing, leans on that outside rear tyre, doesn't it? As it pitches its way through the top left-hander at 90 miles an hour. Good run.
Skirts the bank on the left, leaving top S. It's a wide car, that one. Very, very large footprint. Andy Norris, 31.81.
100 miles an hour when he gets to the top of the hill. Here's Tim Painter. Great big black lines that he's left here on the start line. Uses all the road on the exit of Kennel as he makes his way up with a tight entry into crossing. Gives him space through the middle of the corner and through the top left-hander now for the big Aston Martin at 82.
Wide line around the bottom S. Tim Painter fast away. Nice car on the hill now. The Talbot Sunbeam Lotus, car that was very desirable back in the day. Not very many of them left, of course.
No, there's an ex-Brooks
Certainly not in
one.
this type of condition.
There's an ex-Russell Brooks one up for auction at Silverstone Auctions or Classic Car Auctions. I think it's
Is there
Silverstone Auctions.
indeed?
Yeah. They've got another auction next week. Hangs the back out with the Sunbeam Lotus. Great stuff. Next up,
tail happy job there.
we got the 911 RSR. This is a quick car. It's a big car. It's got massive traction. And Paul Howells is meaning business for his final run of the weekend. Gets it all lined up through crossing as he makes his way up towards the top left-hander, and he breaks the beam at 84 miles an hour.
Paul Howells heading through the finish line now. And it's 31.31. The Hairman Jerry Neary away from the start line in the Westfield Vauxhall. Vauxhall red top under the bonnet. What's known as a General Motors XE engine. Very similar to the ones that went into Deus and Chevrolet touring cars and so on. Great engine, that one. Still breathed on by Swindon, and those engines are used in the Touring Car Championship without the Vauxhall brand on them these days. They are a proper Swindon engine.
John Pick with the AMS whistling his way up through the top left-hander at 78 miles an hour on S approach. Tips it into the left-hander. It starts to get steep there. The blind right-hander that is the top S. Can't see where you're going. And then it all opens out. Pick on his way. Kath Woodman now with the BMW Compact. Out of Kennel. And well, the 1900cc engine is going to do all the work up the hill. In the meantime, she goes through the S approach at 59 miles an hour. We've got the Peugeot 106 GTI on the line. Anna May Furness leaves the line. We saw Ollie. Oh, she got the wrong gear. She went from first to fourth, I think. But that'll disrupt her run. But you got to hold it together. You'll have another chance another day. Keep your toe in. As she goes up
she's a
towards
consistently fair driver. Still plenty to learn, but she's going well. Other than that little aberration, she'll be annoyed with herself there. She'll be out shampooing dogs tomorrow, of course. She's a dog groomer by profession locally in the valley.
37.57.
She can
Stuart Rothwell with the 205 GTI, the 1900cc version, stripped out, slick tyres, 83 on S approach.
These were, at one time, these were the starter car to have in hill climbing. There are not so many of them left these days. And of course, some of them are assuming a fairly hefty value at auction these days. Frightening the life out of me, Toby, I tell you.
Oh yeah, I've never driven a 205 GTI, but
have
apparently they are such fun. Never had the opportunity.
I've driven one with an auto shift manual in it years ago, a development car that we borrowed, you know, from Peugeot and from Automotive Products in Leamington. Very strange thing that was.
Okay, well, the Malak of Andrew Burt gets to the top of the hill in 36.17 seconds as Jim Collins leaves the line with this Beetle, but with a Porsche back end.
And it's the 1303, the one with the curved windscreen. So it was getting towards the end of Beetle's production. Rather lost their way, I think, when they started to do things like put a curved screen in it. They moved on to the Volkswagen Golf, the Rabbit as it's known in the States, which was a much more sensible thing to do. And the whistles are being blown. I'm not sure whether they're in front of Jim Collins or behind him.
They are behind him, so
something's
happened on the racetrack. So something's just going to get sorted on S approach or something, maybe. A bit of muck or something fell off the car, or they're having a look at bottom S to see what's going on.
And Lisa having a look over the barrier at top S. So she's got Dennis Wood, one of the senior photographers, Dennis Wood, at bottom S by the looks of it, top S rather by the looks of it. So no spectators, but we do have a hand-picked small number of photographers up on the hill and around the place, and you'll see their pictures pop up on social media over the next week or two. So if you fancy yourself a picture of some of the action, well, just keep your eye open and you'll see who they are.
Suzuki Hayabusa powered Radical SR1 of David Bickley leaves the line, 2.58 seconds. Bit hesitant once he let the clutch in, but he is on his way through S approach, 85 miles an hour. Stuart Bickley is about to leave the line in the Black Jedi. This will be a quick run as the Radical makes its way out of top S. Watch this Black Jedi, it is electrifying.
Yeah, very, very quick driver, Stu Bickley. These Jedis have been around since Adam was a lad, as my grandfather used to say. But they're still very successful, developed by John Corbin down at Kettering in Northamptonshire, of course. Not very, very far from the Rockhampton circuit.
27.63 for Stuart Bickley. Andy Green, and he's on his way. This is a quick run through crossing. Just over 10.5 seconds at that point. S approach 95.
Yeah, Andy Green and around the S's. Pins it up the finish straight. It's going to be followed up by Nigel Pitt in a couple of seconds.
Time.
Seems to slow up.
33.31 seconds for Andy Green. And
slowed before the finish, Toby. Knocked it off early.
No, that's not good. They had a problem with the clutch earlier. 36 miles an hour when he crossed the line.
That's about 5 seconds off his pace.
So, yeah.
So it's about 5 off his pace, yeah.
Yeah, something.
And the fact that they're holding Nigel Pitt tells us something, doesn't it?
No, they just took him a long time to line him up. Nigel Pitt leaves the line, and he does that in 2.34 seconds. He leaves the line, he's on his way, he's already through Kennel. We're getting quicker and going quicker. Next car coming up behind Nigel Pitt will be Alex Summers, currently third quickest at the moment here at Shelsley this weekend and today. Pitt goes through the top S. A little bit of a wiggle on the exits, but all gathered together. He's okay, and he's going to break the finish beam at 29.65. 29.65. Here is Alex Summers. He's well over to the left-hand side because there's a lot more grip, he reckons, there. No traction control. It's all on his right foot. 1.97 seconds for the first 64 feet. Rockets through Kennel. Absolutely Harry flatters through crossing. 9.78 S approach speed. 115 miles an hour.
Yeah, don't blink, people, don't blink. And he's out of the top S already, rocketing up the finish straight, and it's 25.25, Alex Summers.
25.25, 111 miles an hour over the line. Harry Pick now leaves the line, 2.3 seconds for the first 64 feet. Bit slower than Alex was, but the Hornet is now getting into its stride now. It's building the speed. The S approach for Harry is 104. 104 on S approach. His time over the line is going to stop at 27.59. Rob Anscombe, though, had a friend of his watching from an oil tanker in the South China Sea yesterday on our YouTube stream. You may be watching again. If you are, good evening from where you are in your part of the world. Rob Anscombe, though, local man from just over the other side of the valley, comes towards the top of the hill, and he's going to finish in 31.35 seconds. 31.35, 97 over the line. David Warburton next up in the Gould GR59. He's got that time of Alex Summers in his sight. 25.25 is the one that he's looking to beat. It's his 28th birthday today for David. He leaves the line in determined style. Bangs it through the gears, already up towards Kennel at 6.5 seconds. That's the kind of power, that's the kind of time he needs. Look how pointy the car is. Look how directional it is for David. 118.
And he's out of the top S. Along the finish straight there, and his time is going to be 26.14.
26.14 seconds, 113 miles an hour over the line for David Warburton. Another Gould GR59 now on the line. It's the 1300cc turbocharged car of Paul Hames. Visor goes down, selects the start, launch control, the traction control. He's got that all sorted. The revs rise, and he lets the clutch in, and it pops and it bangs, and now it revs. He leaves the start in 2.3 seconds as he's already exiting Kennel, coming up towards crossing. Tight line, nearly touching the concrete funnel on the left-hand side. Already he's through S approach at 110 miles an hour.
Avoids the drain cover at top S. Very quickly along the finish straight goes Paul Hames. And it's 26.41. He's there or thereabouts.
He certainly is. Simon Andrews now, the OMS 28, the 2.8. They're building with this car, aren't they? They're getting the speed, gradually run by run. 113 miles an hour for Simon Andrews on that S approach. And already he's through the bottom, through the top S, and away up the finishing straight between the barriers. Going to cross the line in a 26.92. 26.92. Steve Owen now on the line with the brand new car. Shook it down before the lockdown happened, but now it's his first competition debut with this car. Wherever you're watching over the world, there's some quick hill climbing that we've got here from Shelsley Walsh. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, but it's a very fast afternoon of hill climbing that we've got here at Shelsley. Steve Owen already up through crossing, already going through the S approach, and he does that at 109 miles an hour.
Opportunity for Steve to move into third place overall in the next couple of seconds as he rockets across the finish line in a time of 27.16. Yeah, Doesn't do it though, leaves him in 4th place.
27.16. Sean Gould on the line. Quickest man yesterday and the quickest man so far today in the 4-litre Judd-powered V8 Gould GR59. He's already leaving the line. 2.03 seconds. He's already out of kennel, coming through crossing at a speed of 115 miles an hour and through the S approach at a speed of 115 miles an hour. He did 150 over the line this morning. He's got his own time to beat. He's going to be hanging the back out on the exit of Top S, just like ADO used to do. Gould comes over the line, 23.61 seconds, and again 150 miles an hour when he crosses the line. It's fast and it's furious, and you have to remember that the outright hill record here is another second faster than what we've just seen from Sean Gould. But what can Trevor Willis do about it on the line with his OMS PowerTech? That is the big question. Trevor's so much quicker through the corners, but the big V8 of Gould just has the advantage up the straights, doesn't it? I think there's been some grass kicked up by Gould on his run, so the red flags are out for the moment as Willis rolls himself back to get another opportunity to heat up those tyres and get a bit of heat into that Avon rubber that he's running here today. So it'll be interesting to see what time he can do. Watching all over the world is Richard Young from the South China Sea, and also we have Alvin watching from Singapore. So we really are absolutely international. Chris Anderson watching from Melbourne, Australia. I used to enjoy running here at Shelsley back in the late 70s and early 80s. So this is a huge trip for me down memory lane watching this live stream. Well, that's great to see that you're enjoying it, and great to see that you have the opportunity to enjoy Shelsley from wherever you are. Wonderful, wonderful messages that we've got coming in to a leafy green valley in England's green and pleasant land. Okay, so track being cleared as we catch up with the history of Shelsley. All of our historic videos are on our Shelsley Walsh YouTube channel, so make sure you go and have a look when you get home and have a click through and catch up with some videos of times past and times present and some onboards as well. Okay, Sean Gould did a 23.61, and now here's Trevor Willis. He was second yesterday. It was a bit slower with the track conditions 24 hours ago, but it's much quicker as the place rubbers in now. Trevor Willis, 3-time British hill climb champion with the OMS. He leaves the line in determined style, 2.12 seconds for the first 64 feet. Now he's really tramping on. Look at the cornering speed through crossing, 124 on S approach.
Let's have a look at that S sector time. 7.65, it's right on the money. And it's
24.38. 24.38 seconds for Trevor Willis, 131 miles an hour over the line. But Sean Gould is the quickest man here today on that 23-second run. Goodness me. Richard Mason now next up with the Austin Healey 3000. Drives it great gusto. He's in a different Austin Healey today. Normally it's got a roof.
Yeah, he's sharing with Pat Cooper today, Toby.
Ah, glad someone's paying attention.
They do these things, these Austin Healey chaps. Yeah, they look after each other. It was in the programme for it to be done as well. So, Richard's obviously resting his car this fine day.
Noah Ali with the MX-5 leaves the line. Shared car, and a great car to learn the discipline of hill climbing in as well. Nice tight line on that slight right-hander on the way up to crossing, through the blind left-hander. Then you have a little bit of time to collect yourself and get yourself all sorted for the top left-hander. That's pretty easy in a car such as this. And then how late dare you go into bottom S?
Yeah, this is the very well populated Classic Marks Speed Challenge, what used to be part of the old Midland Speed Championship, if you go back far enough, run by former hill climb photographer and competitor Steve Cox, of course, who's the championship coordinator for it. You can always rely on them to bring sort of a dozen to 18 cars to a meeting when they're included in the running.
Okay, well, I mentioned Richard Young is watching from the South China Sea, watching his friend Rob Anscombe, and he's managed to put a message on our YouTube channel, so he is there, and he is watching from a big oil tanker, I believe, that it's moored up temporarily. I also mentioned that Alvin Orr is watching from Singapore. Well, they won't be having a Formula 1 Grand Prix this year, so this is going to have to suffice. We think it's a little bit more exciting at times. And also, we have Jason Fendley watching from Texas. It'll be warm out there at this time of year, Jason. If you can send us some sunshine for our remaining meetings, that would be absolutely fantastic.
In the Lone Star State, as they call it.
Yes. Home to the Circuit of the Americas.
And yes, what else is it home to? The Alamo, I think.
Well, we've seen a quick glimpse of Shelsley history and what it's like to be here on a full working day with full spectators, but maybe this will give you another chance to whet your appetite before we let spectators back in.
You've never seen anything like it. Back into the road, coming out of camera, round the top of the left-hander, got the car side there.
Absolutely wonderful, and Junior's lost none of his style. Let's approach 124.
Another moment ago, we're back in business here at Shelsley.
Martin Burford watching from painting the shed, and all the family painting the shed, and they've got it on, I think, on a mobile phone with a bit of 4G. The wonders of technology, it is quite something, isn't it? We've also got Gareth George watching from Perth, Australia. Well, he's closer to us than Melbourne, isn't he?
Yeah.
And we've also got Nick Barnes watching from the Scilly Isles, watching from a yacht in the Scilly Isles. That's a new one, Nick.
Lovely.
You win the Watching from a Yacht prize. And also watching from New Brunswick, Canada, is Sarah Plummer. Sarah, welcome to our YouTube stream here, direct, live from the Team Valley in Worcestershire.
Have a Molson's for us, won't you?
Yes. We'll send a virtual HPA from the Team Valley, shall we?
Yeah. A great little brewery, that one, of course, and under normal circumstances, when the Shelsley bar's going full chat, Tim Lawson loves serving you an HPA. I think the bar is open this evening, isn't it, I think?
Yes, it is. It's open now.
Yeah.
A lovely atmosphere in the courtyard. And a lovely view with the blue skies overhead during the lunch break. And we had a few cars photographed in that area during the lunch break, so you'll see the results of those photos very soon. If I could just leave you with these next few cars, Eddie, is that all right?
Yeah, by all means, yeah. By all means, do that. So this is going to be the last batch of the afternoon, folks. The very last one, batch 4. So it will be the Jaguar Drivers Club 4 Hills and Sprint Championship. And of course, as it's a one-make car club, you do get a few. No, we've got, moving back. We've got Simon Durling, so we are moving back a few classes. He didn't run in class order for some reason. So he was the lead car in class M1. But we will then go along to the Jaguar Drivers Club. And I'll cover that when we get there. Fair amount of smoke from the back of Simon's car. I commented to somebody else earlier that at least it won't rust. The exhaust system will be intact for quite a long time. And it does seem that the further up the hill he goes, the less smoke there is. So I suspect it's retaining oil in the manifold. And once he gets underway, it clears it. And it all begins to build up again when he gets to the finish. So Simon Durling, who lives at the top of Shelsley. They've lived there for about the last 15 years. 40.33. Simon's time, originally from Sevenoaks in Kent, of course, was a trialist. Started out as a trialist and still has a vintage trials car. You can see him around the estate in that occasionally in the week. So David Rose now in the Lotus Elan, car number 77. So I think we've got batch 3, haven't we? Yeah. So I've got a bit ahead of myself, I'm afraid, there. Then Pat Cooper driving his own Austin Healey that he is sharing just for today with Richard Mason. Let's get back to where we were. Catch up on those times we've just seen. Simon Durling did a 40.33. David Rose in the Elan 36.97. Here's Bill Drysdale in the self-built Porsche 904 TT Special. Built at home over a period of quite a few years, Bill, and he was one of the co-founders of the re-established classic Bowness hill climb that used to be part of the British Hill Climb Championship, going right back to when it first launched just after the Second World War. In the grounds of Kinneal House, overlooking the Firth of Forth. And Jonathan Evans now, Jonathan Evans on the hill. Give you Pat Cooper's time in the Austin Healey. did a 39.98, followed by Bill Drysdale. As I say, Bill did a 41.69, and Jonathan Evans in the Europa 47.96. So we'll cut across and have a look at that class M1. So on scratch, in fact on handicap, Simon Durling is leading that with his 40.03, followed by David Rose and then Pat Cooper. We'll move on shortly to class M2, which will be the classic sports Liebherr racing cars, slightly smaller class and made up of uniquely of nothing but Lotus racing cars. That lovely little Gilburn of Chris Jones, very pretty little car. Strange how the BMC customers who built low volume cars could make a car that looks prettier than the stuff that Austin Morris themselves made at the time. So Chris Jones, the time for him in just a moment. It's up into the 50s, 50.21 Chris Jones. He was preceded by the Lotus Cortina Mark I of Robert Woods, who did a 42.17. And they're coming to the line now. We've got Dave Parr, a man who's been hill climbing since the late 60s. Former competition secretary of the Hagley and District Light Car Club. And the guy who introduced me to the commentary team at Lowton Park well over 20 years ago now. Something I've been doing ever since. Apart from this year, of course. So Dave Parr also has a Sierra Cosworth with a personal plate. He acquired this Anglia a couple of seasons ago. He used to run a similar, if slightly hotter and wider and lower Anglia back in the 1960s, which he ran on the circuits in the days when Hagley District Light Car Club used to run circuit meetings around the country, as did the MAC, of course. A lot of clubs that you're familiar with used to run circuit meetings if you go back far enough. Lothian Car Club who run Doon used to run them as well. So Dave Parr finishes in a 39.64. We saw Jonathan Martin in the Healy 3000 Mark I, 45.52 for him. Now here's Brian E. Serrell in the lovely little Elva. Sports racer, very pretty car. Now Simon Durling had himself one of these if we go back not too many years. And away from the start line with David Giddon. Lotus 23B mounted David Giddon. Ford twin cam engine under the engine cover in the back of this car. Last of the volume production Lotus sports racers, of course. Built a lot of road cars, but not too many sports racing cars. So David Giddon 34.33, Brian Meddings in his Lotus 51 is still on the hill. And he's heading to the finish line there in a time of in the mid-30s, and it will be 34.89 Brian Meddings. Sarah Thorne on the hill. Lady who lives just the other side of the valley in Shelsley Kings. So this is class M2. So 4 Lotuses and 1 Elva, which is a very Lotus-like device as well, of course. Brian E. Serrell's car, an Elva. The Latin for she goes, I seem to recall. in the days when acronyms always meant something proper. Malcolm Thorne, Sarah's husband, sitting last place in class on handicap. Let's see what Malcolm can do. Can he shift his position? It's unlikely, I think, given the handicaps. Oh, he is in the lead apparently. Okay, so sorted that in his finish order. So it raises Malcolm Thorne. Not displaying his time, sadly. Okay, Mark Chandler just about to finish. Meanwhile, the Riley Brooklands of Nigel Dowding leaves the start line and is already smokily heading into the Kennel Bend. So a 9 horsepower car under the old ROC rating. Not very much power at all, but sprightly for the period. This was a very, very quick car in period. Up there with the Alvises and British Samsons and so on. Jeremy Pawsey up next. Nigel Dowding's time coming up now in that Brooklands, and it's 51.65. And of course, that's not actually a vintage car, it's a post-vintage thoroughbred early to mid 30s, about a 1934 car, that one. And by that time, Riley were in Durbar Avenue in Coventry. Some of that factory still remains as a Unipart exhaust manufacturing facility. Right, and we now completed the Aston Martin Owners Club Speed Championship class. Come along. Yeah, so Mark Chandler leading that with a 38.23 from Jeremy Pawsey and Nigel Dowding. Move on there to the Classic Marks Speed Challenge. A very, very broad base of cars in Classic Marks. They cater for everything from early post-war sports cars right up to very modern stuff like the Lotus Exige of Robbie Birrell, who's currently sitting second place. Touch that and see where we are. Problem sorting this one out. Oh, here we are finally. So Graham Beale, that 33.05, settled his position of the lead, followed by Robbie Birrell and Rob Toone yet to take his run, who is sitting in third. Quite a lot of work to do if he's to take more than 2.5 seconds out of Graham Beale's time to take the lead. It's unlikely he's going to do that. Back to the Classic Marks again. So Nick Bolton completed his run. 36.92, so the final standings to be confirmed in the Classic Marks. Currently sits at Graham Beale, 33.05, followed by Robbie Birrell, 34.67, and Nick Bolton, 36.92. And this will begin to get us towards the end of batch 3. Just a short batch 4 to run after this one. So Rob Pack. Time coming up for Rob. did a 36.05. He's followed by Rob Pallett. There's a 35.89, so let's sort that little lot out. Well, Graham Beale leading from Rob Birrell. Rob Toone yet to take his final run of the afternoon. He will do in just a few cars' time in the Morgan Plus 8. Gordon Pierce isn't going to affect the top 3 in the Classic Marks Speed Challenge class. Gordon Pierce, in the meantime, 37.79. Raises himself to, well, consolidates, I should say, his 6th place overall. Alan Voice now on the hill. Rob Toone has made the start, so he's the last person that could cause a position to change in Classic Marks. And Rob Toone in the plus 8 in the 3.9 litre V8 Morgan plus 8. Heads towards the finish, 35.64. A little bit slower than before, so maintains his 3rd position overall. So it's Beale, Birrell and Toone in that order, 1st, 2nd and 3rd. And we're about to close off this batch with the Classic Marks Speed Challenge with Alan Voice on the hill. He and Emma Ali will be the last 2 to run in that Classic Marks Challenge class. I know at one point, relatively recently, the Classic Marks guys, who I'm a member of one of their social media groups, they didn't think they were going to see any action at all this year, so we're very pleased to see them here this weekend and to help them get their season finally underway. I don't know how many more rounds they've got, and whether they've got one here, whether they've got one at Prescott, I don't know, but we'll catch up with them in the week. So Alan Voice, the last one to run in Classic Marks. Emma Ali at the foot of the chart, sadly for her. Oh no, Alan Voice slips to the final position there with that 48.28. He found himself beaten to last place by Emma Ali, who did her 46.69. So now we have a batch returning to the paddock.
Yes. Thank you, Eddie.
So
Super job.
Back in the chair, that's fine.
Yeah, we've had a few more other
I'm
comments.
used to that type of thing from Lowton Park, following these local championships.
No
When
problem.
you've got a good commentary screen, you can cover it quite easily.
A quick message there from James Ashton, who said he enjoyed the Members' Day last week, but watching this live weekend from Rome, in Italia, from Roma.
3 coins in the fountain, I hope.
Yes, absolutely. We've also got. If it's going to come up on the screen, no. Yes, Frodo. Him. I can't say his second name, but he's watching from the Netherlands.
That's pronounced Kanijendijk.
Ah.
I mastered Dutch a few years ago. Yeah.
Okay. Well done. Well done. Very good. Very good. We've also got a quick.
You just
cough
a lot.
Yes, it's like that, isn't it? Bob Brewer takes me back to 1979 when he competed at Shelsley in a Rover TVR Grand Tourer. His best time, he still remembers, was a 36.04 back in 1979.
Well, it is a memorable sort of place, isn't it, Toby?
It is. It is.
You
absolutely.
don't forget. You don't forget your. I bet you don't forget your best time here.
25.66.
There you go. Thought so.
What did I do? 115, 117 on S approach.
Yeah. Everybody remembers their best time at Shelsley.
Yeah. Also Vicky Pack watching from France, hoping to see Rob Pack in his 108. And also we have got Alan Frener. Whoops, sorry, my mistake. Alan Frener watching from the comfort of his lounge near Salisbury. He's linked it all up to his TV. Great coverage. Thank you so very much. Thank you for all watching. It's been a fabulous afternoon. We've just got one more batch to go, and then we will consider the weekend a success. We've had good running. We've had 3 sets of practice runs, and we're just about to complete our 2 sets of class runs as these cars come back down the hill.
In fact, everybody got a 3rd practice that wanted one, didn't they?
Yes, yes. 3 practice runs,
well,
and 2 class.
We probably won't be able to repeat that as we increase the number of entries as we get into the season. But on the other hand, we have delivered some decent value for money for our competitors this weekend. And I can see they've enjoyed themselves.
We've given our competitors excellent value for money. There's nothing like having an extra practice run. It really does put a spring in your step, and it's a great feeling to have as a driver. You think, okay, that's it. Oh no, you can have another run. Oh, you can never have enough runs. Never, 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 never have enough runs.
I love the way they do it at Craig Antlet, where they give the locals an extra run after the second run-off. Unique,
If
completely
they have time.
unique. But that,
Yes, yes.
well, yeah, and they often do run out of time. As that hill is only used for 10 hours a year. Just the one day in, it's in May these days, of course. It used to be August for many, many years. A fabulous Ulster Automobile Club, wonderful club that is. Award winners.
Do like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching wherever you are over the world, and also give our Facebook page a like and or a follow. And follow us on Instagram at Shelsley Walsh. We've got all sorts of Instagram stories that pop up, and they also are sometimes cross-pollinated over to the Facebook stories as well. But not everything, not always, so it's good to see what's going on with the Instagram stories just for a bit of fun. Maybe you can tag us in, use the hashtag Shelsley Walsh, or if you've taken some pictures here in the past, use the pin for the location at Shelsley Walsh as well. Our final batch gets underway. It's Richard Derrick who leaves the line with the Mini 1275 GT. 2.99 seconds for the first 64 feet.
This is the Jaguar Drivers Club class. Mixed class because they have regulations that cover people who drive devices other than Jaguars. So you get a Mini 1275 GT and the Cougar Special, which you'll see shortly, and the Lotus Elise and an MG Midget and a couple of Jaguars.
Such as the Cougar Special that we're just seeing go up through Kennel at the moment.
We used to see quite a few of these, and also remember those Ronarks that were a very, very similar sort of device?
Yes, big red one that we used to have here.
Cycle wings on a, if you like, a slim twin-seater chassis.
Nice Porsche 911 leaves the line. Thomas Robinson, beautiful looking thing, P-registered car. I'm not good with suffix P. What year was that? Ooh.
P.
P. Give us a P, please, Bob. You've got the internet, Eddie. I haven't.
Yeah, I don't want to touch that.
Okay.
If I go and do any searching, I might stall what I'm looking at. I don't want to.
We don't want to do that.
Take the risk.
Okay. Well, the P-registered Porsche makes its way towards the top of the hill and does a 37.68. David Rogers with the Jaguar X-Type, 3-litre engine. He's just on his way to S approach. Goes through the speed trap at 56 miles an hour.
It was late. It was sometime in the mid-90s, wasn't it, P, I think. It was X was 2000.
No, that's prefix P. I'm thinking suffix P.
Oh,
Was the
Suffolk.
Porsche.
That was back
Yeah.
in the. That's back in the 70s.
70s, yeah.
That's 76. They're about 75 or 6.
The hot summer of
NDU.
76.
Yeah, that's right. My old transit van, my old 1600 transit van was NDU 395P. So there we are. And that was the 76. And I had it when it was about a year old. And James Scarrett in the big XK glances off the left-hand bank going out of top S, and leaves a trail of red Worcestershire dirt. Quite a cloud of it. Followed up by Phil James in the Porsche Cayman, which is the Trident Engineering Welsh Sprint and Hill Climb Championship to round out the afternoon. A couple of somebody challenged me about saying that Gilbern was the only Welsh mark. They said that Davrian and Darien were. Well, they were never part of the Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders, therefore they weren't a manufacturer, they were a kit car maker. So Gilbern were the only proper production SMMT member production car manufacturer.
And now that four-wheel drive SUV Aston Martin, of course, is being constructed in Wales, even though Aston Martin is not a Welsh brand.
It's at St Athan, yeah. Not very far from Cardiff, right on the coast, the old RAF St Athan base. It's also a place where they scrap large airliners as well.
Well, there's a few more of those after the last week, isn't there? Unfortunately.
Yeah,
in the meantime, the Vauxhall Chevette HSR makes its way towards the top of the hill. Gary Morgan, he chucked its about before, and he's chucking it about again, as we have Carol Nichols with her single-seater Nike 1600. Nice steady line through the Kennel Bend, the first corner here at Shelsley, up through crossing. Gives herself a lot of space, it opens out, and then you can get your foot down through the top left-hander, through the kink as we call it, up towards the S's, the corner that you can't see until you're right on top of it, blend it in, then you get steep, and then you've got the top S. She takes a tight line at top S, that'll push her out a little bit wide, but she doesn't need to use all of the racetrack, and she makes her way towards the top of the hill, and that is the completion of our summer spree weekend here at Shelsley, as Carol Nichols does 42.82 seconds at the top of the hill. So her run is completed, and we've had a great clean day here at Shelsley, and we've had so many of you watching from around the world. David Large, great to watch. I do compete at Shelsley Walsh on occasions, and I really look forward to competing there again. Well, we certainly look forward to seeing you, David, and also P&A Hadley, who have enjoyed it and wondered if Murray Walker is watching. I spoke to him about 6 months ago. He's on good form mentally, and it's all there, but he's just slowing down a little, as you can imagine. But Murray Walker, a man who made his very first commentary here at Shelsley, ironically, in a broadcast for the BBC, and that brings us full circle with what we've done here this weekend, doing a live stream on Facebook and on YouTube. It's been a successful weekend for our quickest runners, and at the end of today it has been Sean Gould who has been the fastest man up Shelsley Walsh with 23.61 seconds, ahead of Trevor Willis's 24.27. Not much difference between their two runs, is it? Alex Summers next up with 25.17. Fourth has been David Warburson. Fifth, Paul Hames. Sixth, Simon Andrews. Seventh, Steve Owen in a brand new car. Alan Warburton then in eighth position. Bernard Kevill in ninth. And 10th going to Harry Pick. 11th, Stuart Bickley. Andy Greenan then in 12th. Lindsay Summers in 13th with a 28.1. Mark Lawrence in 14th. And Adam Greenan in 15th position. They had a couple of problems earlier in the day. They lost a bit of time to get their eye in, but they'll be back and they'll be going even quicker. Eddie, thank you so much for joining us remotely. The wonders of technology have been very kind to us.
Yeah, I've just been sent an absolutely wonderful picture of the technical team who helped us put this on. There's Rich Danby in the Jack Rawle hut at the desk there with 5 different computer screens, working away very, very hard, and then sitting behind him is Al Rayner asleep in a chair. Absolutely fabulous picture. You'd love it.
Well, he
I'll
certainly
make
put
sure
the
that
hours in.
gets circulated.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
They've all put their hours in, and they are very deserving of a sleep. But most of all, thank you for joining us this weekend. We've had viewers from Singapore, Australia, America, Germany, the Netherlands, Spain, even somebody watching from on board a yacht on the Scilly Isles, even on the Isle of Wight, Canada, and even in the South China Sea. Many MAC members and friends of Shelsley Walsh have been tuning in. It's been great to have you with us here at Shelsley this weekend. Do keep in touch with our website, shelsleywalsh.com, and our social media channels on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter. In the meantime, it won't be long until we're back racing here at Shelsley again, so it's from Eddie Walder and myself, Toby Moody, and everybody here at Shelsley to bid you goodbye.
You've never seen anything like it. Back into the road coming out of town. Round the property left paddock. Got the car driving.
Absolutely wonderful, and Junior's lost none of his style. Let's approach 124.
Absolutely textbook through the S.
And as I said a moment ago, we're back in business here at Chelsea.